All right, man. So I guess what you've been talking about was actually very correct here. Incas versus Spanish. We have the Spanish indeed. We are on the map of Sunderbands. The score is 1-0 for Yo. I'm joined by LidaKor. And this is absolutely fantastic. Yo in a situation where he has no access to a Mesosiv. Instead, we have TaToH with the Incas. And Yo has chosen the Spanish against Incas on a map like this where we know the Mesosivs can be crazy. Can be crazy. I know, man. I feel quite anxious still. What
Yeah,
about
it is
your
gonna be
feelings, man?
Tower Wars, absolutely.
For sure, man. We got the Incas with that bonus. We got the Spanish. It can work. But before anything else, as I love to say, I suspect a lane or some harassment is going to take place. TaToH
Mr.
suspiciously
Yo,
close.
Mr. Yo sees that Rhino, so he could actually do either try to block the villager or there you go. TaToH is
I was
going
saying,
for a lane.
why is he so sickly low HP though? Did he take that many hits off this
Yeah, that's a lot of hits from that Rhino. He's 17 HP. That's gonna be problems later. By the way, I just wanted to ask you, which... wait a second. Yeah, it's actually lame. So, which save do you prefer in terms of towering possibilities? Do you prefer the Spanish or do you prefer the Incas?
I actually prefer the Spanish because of the bigger picture here. Because you can proceed after towers, you can drop the castle. If you have a momentum, you can stay on a single TC, you can go for Kongs, and then it could be insane. For Incas, I mean, if we just talk about towers, I believe that it would be even nicer for them. But the combat plan is, oh man, I don't know. I feel that the Spanish are nicer, man. What about you?
Yeah, I actually prefer Spanish as well. If you're talking about Spanish, you always say like, hey, it's almost impossible to go towers against a Spanish player. So I would say that Spanish can be more reasonable as long as they keep the distance. So if we actually get into villager combat and close range combat, then it could be something that helps Incas.
Yeah.
But if the Spanish can keep the distance and go for like the sheer towering aspect of the game, then that should be something that favors the Spanish, as we see. Mr. Yo adding some early walls. What is good for TaToH is that he has double stones at the back of his base, so he has basically infinite stone supply to work with for his towers. Meanwhile, the primary stone is not so great for Mr. Yo on the north. At least he got some nice backup.
Yeah, that is going to be useful. But then again, on this open map, we've also seen some sneaky attempts where vills go all the way around and drop a tower from behind. That can also happen. It's quite time consuming, very dangerous, very risky. But sometimes, if it's successful, it can work a charm. Not so sure though what will happen here. As in, Yo will most likely drop towers. This is how I feel like. Yo, it would surprise me if he wouldn't do it with the Spanish on this kind of map. For TaToH though, that's going to be interesting as well. As you've mentioned, when it comes to close combat, if you got the blacksmith up, it can be very dangerous here. So I'm actually curious how Yo plans to keep the distance at the same time still being as aggressive as possible. For the record though, TaToH has decided to go for the dog here as well. That is always an option on this map, but not all players do it. He has decided to boost his economy with the additional fishing ships right now.
Yeah, that's a great choice. He has a nice little lake to work with. It is actually double deep fish, which is going to be helping out quite a bit for him. He's going to be later to feudal age though. That's a significant difference. And as we can see, Mr. Yo is playing a little bit more passive in my estimation. So he's just adding the walls. Oh, there is the sneak though. What's the plan? Is he trying to sneak a blacksmith and then drop a tower? That's a quite common approach with Incas, because you can get the blacksmith, you can get scale made after that.
Yeah, that is quite suspicious here. I mean, as I said, Yo is now taking this huge detour indeed. He wants to attack from the back and remains unnoticed. We also have this difference in uptime here, 2 volts difference, TaToH with a significantly stronger economy.
Yo is going for the stone. He has vision on both stone piles. That's gonna be the case. And this could be glorious.
Very, very glorious. I mean,
he's gonna deny this secondary stone before he could attack this first one. That's a super smart way to play this.
Yes, indeed. But now TaToH's gonna.
That's not
he doesn't even see. Are you kidding me?
Wait.
TaToH doesn't see it with the.
Wait, oh, look at that. He barely misses that tower by 1 tau. Even though he has an outpost there, that is so unfortunate. That is so unfortunate. If you take a look at Mr. Yo's point of view, I'm not sure if he sees that.
Insane, man. The tower's up.
Yeah,
the tower's up.
that is gonna be a game changer tower because there is nowhere to run for TaToH now.
Oh, this is crazy. Now the combat plan is what? A secondary tower in. Wow, sick, man. Denying this woodline as well. Making sure that the stone cannot be used at all. There's still hope for the left-hand side stone a tiny bit, but it's very dangerous and maybe even impossible from a sane point of view. The question now is, what is TaToH going to do about it? He's now moving to the left-hand side, getting a new lumber camp up. But is that the plan? Is that all about it? What is required for TaToH to stay in the game?
Yeah, that is very, very hard for him right now. TaToH didn't even go for an attempt to tower his opponent. Let's not forget TaToH loses his Eagle Scout because it has a low HP after the lane. And so far, Mr. Yo is doing way better.
Oh, yes, it's for sure. I mean, look at this attempt on the left-hand side. TaToH trying to go for this Liberty type of tower up, right? With a single villager. But it's not paying off because Yo has spotted this. He had more luck, or let's say TaToH was unluckier in this case. His tower can be spotted. Therefore, it's not going to work like that. And there we go. That tower does not work. TaToH, what to do now? He actually needs some markets. He actually needs some income here because stone, he can forget about this.
Yeah, that tower is gone. He even loses the villager, which is extremely unfortunate for him. This is why it's so hard to tower the Spanish. Even if, even if Spanish spotted a tiny bit late, they are just so fast building that even if you're just talking about one villager being compared, it would be an advantage for Mr. Yo. Mr. Yo has built this with 3 villagers, but like 1 or 2 could have been also enough to deny the tower from TaToH.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at TaToH on the right side. What is this migration here?
Yeah,
that's some next level woodlines, let's say.
Yeah, that's insane indeed. Wow, so much damage here. So the migration, indeed, we have 2 dogs, by the way. So TaToH is in a miserable position, but at least his food economy is gonna go crazy.
Yeah,
what's
like,
more though?
Look at the count though.
Yeah, that's it.
In fact, he just lost 2 villagers. He has 5 fishing ships, though. Let's not forget about that one. The scout of Mr. is also doing a very beautiful work. Sniping down villagers left and right. He killed one on the wood line, could kill another one.
Even an additional one, man. Look at the scout is getting another villager like that.
Oh, that is amazing. Like, one scout killed that Eagle Scout, one scout killing one on the wood line, one over here, and he's still doing significant damage. Oh, the traps.
It's working, man. It's working like a charm, man.
And
bills are gonna go down because, you know, no blacksmith upgrades, obviously. This might be game here. TaToH is losing way too many villagers, a lot of idle time. I mean, Yo also suffers idle time because he's using his villagers for offensive measures, but nah, man, not like this, man.
Yeah, not like this. So many pressure on TaToH's base. Mr. Yo is playing very good today. Look at the HP of those villagers that are in the hands of Mr. Yo. That's gonna be 2 dead villagers in a second.
Go, nearly double kill, man. Oh, this is sick.
And if that woman turns back and kills that man, it is gonna be insanely hard for TaToH, even with the fishing ships he has.
Could do that, man. Just return, give the man a slap, and then he is GG as well. Archer range for TaToH, just for the record. He's trying to go for some harassment with. Alright, just most likely.
Well, now that's the... that was an interesting way. Oh, look at that. That's a low HP villager for TaToH. He's lucky to escape with that guy. He just rammed the villagers of Mr. Yo with a demo. And oh no, TaToH! Dead Jaguar.
Oh my god, I just realized that. Oh
and
my god,
the funny thing is that was a full HP villager, but the demo ship hit him as well. So it's kind of like a partially friendly fire type of thing. Now it is clear advantage for Mr. Yo. He has safe resources on all sides. TaToH,
he's insane.
He's in major trouble.
He's migrating once again to the right hand side now. He has now entirely given up. I mean, he has to give up on the woodlines. There are no more woodlines for him in the middle of this map because everything has been taken over by Yo. If you just look at villager count, it's 34 vills versus 26. We got 6 fishing mills and we at least got 2 archers now out. But let's see if they're going to be able to just deny this tower and do more damage after that one without... I mean, they have fletching. That's good for them. But yeah, there we go. Now, finally, more aggressive approach by TaToH here. Something he should have maybe done earlier on with his villagers. But yeah, this might be not enough. This might be not enough.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the left side, you have Mr. Yo popping out the fire galleys, so eventually those fishing eco of TaToH is gonna go down the drain unless he invests in more fire galleys. But I think if TaToH is forced to make fire galleys, that is just helping out Mr. Yo over here.
Oh my god, man! I'm just looking at how much damage the towers deal now.
Yeah, that is brutal, and TaToH is forced to leave. I feel like having this tower stay up is basically the end of the story here. That is a low HP villager from TaToH. I don't see any escape route. Yeah. Now it's a 10 villager lead for Mr. Yo. If he starts cleaning up these fishing ships, it's kind of over. Even without it, it is going to be very hard. Another tower coming up from Mr. Yo.
At least TaToH has wheelbarrow. That's the little advantage that he has there, but still, it's...
Well, the small things in life, right?
Exactly, man. They sometimes do matter. Let's see if that's gonna work here. The score tells us that TaToH is in great shape, but what seems to be like that is not the case here. A lot of migration has happened. The question now is who's gonna click up first, because I feel that we'll not see too much pressure any further on, because Yo has now reached the villagers with his fire galley here. But I think he's going to realize that more needs to be done, and maybe in the next stage, dealing proper damage with more of a solid army here.
Yeah, I agree. He's having the superior eco, especially in terms of like villager eco. But he has a lot of villagers on stone as well. Let's not forget that. So ultimately, I wouldn't say that that is a significant difference in terms of food and gold eco. What we are seeing, Mr. Yo is kind of determined to do some more towering, and it looks like TaToH is gonna be unable to deny that tower. Maybe he goes for villager fights, but these villagers have still 0 upgrades for TaToH, so...
It's crazy, man. It's crazy how these villagers are always being invested, but not so successful. The tower is being denied now, at least, but for what cost?
Yeah, again, a lot of file time being forced on the gold miners, and that's exactly what Mr. Yo needs. TaToH is getting closer to Castle Age. Problem is that he doesn't have enough stone. Normally, if you are faster to castle and you get kind of towered and you are mining a lot of stone, I always say that a castle can be very useful, but he doesn't have stone for that. That's the problem.
That is very true, but Yo is going to be in that situation. That is what I said about the bigger picture when it comes to trushing. The subsequent plan of Yo will most likely be the castle, something quite logical over here. You've just talked about this, and it is going to be about the conquistadores. And we have an open map like that. A lot of raiding will happen, and if they're not immediate TCs by TaToH actually to protect himself, these Kongs will be able to raid a lot of parts of this map, and a lot of vills of TaToH are going to die. At least that is the idea of Yo here. So TaToH, best advice to get stone, of course. The question is, of course, do you want to go for the castle, as you've said, or are you in a position where you must reinforce with TCs to make sure that your left-hand side base is safe and the right-hand side safe is base?
Yeah, the thing is that if you take a look at the left-hand side stone, that is something that TaToH doesn't see. I just checked this out. TaToH has no access to stone as of his knowledge. He just sees his back stones and that's it. He misses out on the left-hand side stone on the far left. So basically, this is why he's forced to take down these towers with force, which feels like a very desperate move to me.
I mean, he's going for it now, and he's about to get scale mail armor. That's going to be nice for him. Also, something important to mention, Yo hasn't gotten fletching ever. That might have killed way more villagers. That might have been a reason for TaToH to back off in many situations. But nope, not happening. TaToH is able to reclaim the back part of his base, which is important. But Yo is about to click up as well.
Yo had a quite unbalanced deco, if you see that.
Yeah,
he was forced to make that market with like 6 villagers. He had a lot of excess gold, so he's kind of late clicking up. And yeah, even though TaToH reclaims the back of his base now, he still hasn't started mining stone. So eventually that castle is gonna be super slow. And I feel like it is gonna be faster for Mr. Yo to drop a castle. Now there is quite a number of archers from TaToH, let's not sleep on those guys. If they can get some fancy kills, this could still go in either of the players' directions.
Yeah, so Katalas is asking, how can TaToH win this? Well, basically he has the timing advantage. The issue is, as LidaKor said, well, how is he gonna make sure that he secures how he's going to drop TCs, castles, anything like that. Anything related to stone will be difficult to achieve, but he has those crossbows, as you've just said, and they're able to kill a couple. And that's the thing. So crossbows versus conquistadors, of course, trade-wise, if they just have a 1v1 matchup here, it can work, but we have an open map. I still think that the Kongs have the advantage due to mobility. They can avoid the fights if done correctly here, but I still think that TaToH is going for the right choice here of choosing the crossbows, but we'll see what happens afterwards, because so far the crossbows not so successful, being pushed away due to the massive numbers of defensive watchtowers.
Yeah, the towers are just amazing, but let's not sleep on the outside rim of the map. So at some point Mr. Yo will have to expand towards the outside as well. Mr. Yo, I think he's gambling for a forward castle.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he has enough stone to do that. And yeah, there is the villagers going for the castle. Exactly what he needs to do. Like, that is almost the perfect. It would have been like 2 tiles more forward. It would have been even better.
Yeah, man, imagine that. Just delete those palisades, go forward like that. But yeah, now the Mangonel, TaToH is aware of the situation. But what you think? What you think is gonna happen here? Ooh, the villagers are gonna go forward.
Oh, look at kamikaze villagers. They're gonna try to snipe that mango. Spanish villagers are just so fast of building that this castle is going up. Still no fletching, as you said, for Mr. Yo. If he gets to fletching, it is gonna be insanely hard for TaToH to take that gold as well. Wouldn't be surprised on a forward tower just to completely deny some of those farms and those gold piles.
Yeah,
but indeed,
it will be difficult.
The way for TaToH to win this would be either to have an own castle for defensive purposes, as he's making university, so I assume he wants to go for the crossbow ballistics, or try to contain Mr. Yo to the central island. Because right now he has control over the outside island. Also, let's not sleep on the booms. 3 town centers for TaToH, just 1 for Mr. Yo, and look at the villager count.
Yeah, for now it seems quite equal, but the potential, as you've mentioned, is on the side of the one with more TCs. The boom is going to be extremely relevant if, of course, the game goes on like this. The Conquistador is now about to go in. Good decision of TaToH to actually go for this defensive monk. You've mentioned something extremely important, so to keep... There we go with a successful conversion. Really good defense by TaToH here. To keep your opponent on the main island, is that possible? Well, if you got the force, for sure. But TaToH needs to act really fast, because what he needs now is military numbers for that one. He needs to have armies both on the left and on the right to make sure that the Kongs are not able to just abuse the fact that they're more mobile, right? For now, it is somewhat working, but at least we got the defensive TCs that I've been talking about. On the left-hand side, TaToH has his TC up just to make sure that the villagers are somewhat safe. But it's just a question of time until pressure is built up even further on. It's difficult.
You know, Mr. Yo is getting closer to dropping another castle. It would be very, very ambitious to drop it right next to the town center of TaToH, but I would love to see that. Their castle is at so good position. What I don't like is that TaToH has some idle fire guys over here that could be patrolling the water, potentially spotting this town center from Mr. Yo. That could have been denied by the crossbows if TaToH spots it. Now he's cleaning up the towers at the back of his base though, so he should be fine, but he needs to make sure that his gold mine is intact. He still has 5,000 gold on that gold mine. He wants to secure that because he's losing the left-hand side right now. But I think if he cleans up these towers, he's gonna have a lot of safe gold, stone, and there is the towers coming up from TaToH.
You're right. I mean, he's cleaning up the mess inside of his base, but that's also the plan of Yo to make sure that TaToH is more concerned about, you know, keeping a safe household over here back in his base. But this is enough time that Yo needs because he was up late and he had his Kong army up late enough to say, okay, TaToH might have a chance over here, but we see it right now. The Kongs are on the right-hand side. A reason for the villagers to go crazy here. They are now being completely idled. That is good because now Yo is able to control more and more of the economy of TaToH. If that continues, if we see more Kongs, if we see another castle, it might work a charm, but at least TaToH, aware of the fact, has cleaned up the left-hand side and attempting to go further on. Going for guard tower upgrade, more stuff about to happen for sure. I sense that TaToH might go for the left-hand side here.
Look at the castle. I'm not the biggest fan of that castle, but it's actually quite reasonable. Destroys the tower, destroys the archer range, covers part of the gold pile. I would have loved it to see it rather like a forward castle that is covered by the other one. But this is actually a very smart castle. It's all about Mr. Yo trying to deny the gold pile of TaToH over here. He knows that TaToH is forced to take gold from the left-hand side. It's very tricky because you get the conks from Mr. Yo, but he is not doing any significant damage. He killed 2 villagers or so right now, but the villager counts are now completely even. Castle is up for Mr. Yo. But let's see if TaToH can counterattack on the left side. Let's not forget about that one. Mr. Yo's primary gold could be contested over here.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, comparing the right-hand side castle, as you've said, it might be extremely useful because of this gold and potentially the wood. The left-hand side push of TaToH, currently what is it doing, this additional guard tower? Just denying the farm and pressuring the TC at this moment, but I feel that Yo will be able to repair this TC, unless of course the castle of TaToH will do more and more damage.
That's good. If he can take away the primary gold of Mr. Yo over here, that is gonna be a significant issue still.
Yeah.
And let's not sleep on the fishing eco of TaToH. So, right now it is still completely even ecos for both teams. And I feel like if TaToH is getting close to clicking up to Imperial. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Yo had to invest a lot in his conquistadors, which...
Are dwindling in numbers, by the way, because they've engaged with crossbows on the right-hand side.
It's like exactly what I wanted to say. Those archers did serve their purpose, traded quite evenly, and look at that. TaToH, he could be going up to Imperial very soon. If he's faster to Imp, he can start trapping down those castles, and he still has safe gold. And that is a significant development. Mr. Yo is forced to make his 4th town center on the back gold of his. And still, the Conquistadors are doing some nice damage, but it's not super significant, if you ask me.
Exactly. No, I fully agree with that one, because I imagine that Yo thought of something more effective over here, that they constantly harass, that they decide where the villagers are going. But for now, as TaToH was given enough time to make sure that he has the TCs up, he's somewhat protected. The reason why Yo's not attempting to go for the middle, it seems.
Yeah, so the problem is that these Conquistadors would be super good at raiding. But look at the investment Yo has to make, and look at the food count he has. So, in terms of raiding ability, Conks are great. They can snipe a few villagers, but the key thing is that, like, TaToH loses a few villagers, but in return forces Mr. Yo to make 10-ish Conquistadors, and now look at the uptime. TaToH is going to be way faster. Ambitious castle on the left side by Mr. Yo, but I wouldn't be that scared if you are TaToH. Because he's going to be way faster to Imp. That means that the central castle will go down from Mr. Yo.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, man, in Imp, all of a sudden the momentum of the Conquistadors are gone, because then the Spanish will have access to a rather stronger composition, normally on paper. Talk about, for instance, Cavaliers here, but the Incas, they will just laugh at that. So that will be a huge issue. The late game might be in TaToH's hand here, civ-wise.
Yeah, I agree. So it looks like Mr. Yo is still continuing with Conquistadors, and like I said, that is gonna make him very slow advancing to Imperial, and in this case, that will mean that we'll have faster traps from TaToH. So let's assume that, you know, if TaToH drops a few well-placed walls, he could make a scenario in which his traps are completely secure from the Conquistadors and he can trap down the central castle. He could trap down the other castle as well fairly easily, I believe. So these cogs are just not doing enough killing as compared to what price you pay for them. Like, look at that. Yeah, Mr. Yo is all in on the conks. There is the counter castle coming up by TaToH. It's gonna be close because there is some Conquistadors running all the way around. But War Galley for TaToH, okay.
Yeah, I think what is going to happen is a mixture of beautiful demolition rafts. Unfortunately, not enough to kill all the Kongs, but the Kongs on the right hand side are now significantly weakened here. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a navy thing because, well, the middle part is somewhat decided, let's say. Somewhat decided, because there are castles, they protect the resources. So, of course, the juicier parts is going to be the outer parts of this map, where you can work with navy way better. And we are there now. So what is going to happen is we have fire ships now, we have demolition ships. TaToH even going for block printing, just to make sure that his monks will be even more on fleek when it comes to converting and being there for the protection. It's going to be interesting to see what Yo is going to do, and that is it. He's going for Wall Galley himself, fire ships from him. Interesting. Interesting, very interesting. I'm not so sure who's gonna have the edge here because number-wise it's somewhat equal, but TaToH now with finally some trap action as well. I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's happening now.
My main issue for TaToH now is that he has fell behind in villager count very, very badly. Now the Conquistadors doing beautiful work, raid on the right side on the wood, raid on the stone, so the Conks are now raiding very good. Problem is that Yo is gonna lose a lot of ground right now. He's going up to Imperial himself though. If he can hold that, I would say he's gonna have the upper hand because of the better eco. He's gonna have so much better eco. But if he loses a lot of ground over here to the trap wars, I don't know. I feel like TaToH could actually get this because look at that. Mr. Yo might lose his castle on the left, might lose the castle on the middle. But I think if he gets up to Imperial, he's gonna have his own traps, and he's just having so much better eco.
Yeah, that's insane, man. You've mentioned this. 104 Wolves versus 79. What on earth is happening here? I mean, that is way too much. The Spanish boom is not famous for its heavy resource income. It's just good because you got the faster building up. But dude, this is sick, man. We have a clear difference now. And while I said, okay, the Incas might have the edge over here in the later part of the game, but not if you don't have the economy here. And it seems that Yo might have enough to overwhelm TaToH here. Now switching, or not switching, but just adding light caps as well. Scaleboarding also in the making now. He's gonna try to just go in and kill as many vills as possible to raid the economy as much as possible. While TaToH now moving with a lot of vills from the left-hand side towards the middle, adding more guard towers.
Yeah, the biggest issue for me in TaToH's approach is that he doesn't have anything to support his traps. He literally is walking into the base of Mr. with traps. What's up with that? That's some weird passing.
Yeah, no. They're good on their own, man. They can just do that.
So yeah, the problem is that he doesn't have any support units to work with.
Yeah.
He's making monks, but he cannot kill villagers that way, and he's falling behind Nico.
Yeah.
He's gonna trap down these buildings, as we see indeed light caps from Mr. Yo, but Mr. Yo is still fine. And I just don't see what units TaToH is gonna make. He's not making any Eagles or Kamayuks. He's making pikes.
He's making pikes, indeed. Something that we've seen in the previous game as well, and they haven't been the winner of the matchup. If we just talk about causality over here, it will not be the winning move once again, but we'll see Theocracy in the making for TaToH, interestingly. Not sure where this is going. It's looking way more of a solid plan for Yo here. Now going for Rams as well. We see a lot of light caps in the making, and the Kongs are still up. That seems to be a solid army composition that will be decent enough due to the mobility to raid and also constantly push with the Rams.
Yeah, meanwhile, let's not sleep on the 10 fishing ships of TaToH. He also has gill nets upgrades, so overall that's not a bad fishing eco. Kinda compensates for his lack of villagers, but he just doesn't have enough military to do this.
Major engagement in the middle now. We see a lot of Kongs and the light caps being involved over here.
Look at the monks jumping back into the TC.
Out of the TC exactly, but the Rams are approaching as well. They will need to retreat very soon. The issue is those Kongs with Bloodlines, of course, and +2, they're still tanky enough to sit in front of the TC a tiny bit more, just to make sure that the Rams have arrived now. And I think that TaToH now needs to act really fast, but he only has 6 military, I'm sorry, versus 17 now. I'm so sorry, man, 39 to 18, man, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the idols I see here. It's still really bad for TaToH. He might lose the middle, he might lose the gold over here. He has lost the primary gold already.
He has lost his TC. Yeah, this is what I said. Once Yo gets up to Imperial, he's gonna have a great eco, and when he has traps, he has the military to cover those traps. That's the problem for TaToH. He doesn't have a military to cover the traps, as we see the GG rolling. Exactly what happened. He had double traps to try and take that castle down, but when the light cab arrived, he had nothing to protect those traps with. Meanwhile, Mr. Yo had a bunch of conquistadors and light cabs. I feel like this is something that TaToH could have won, though. He caught up with the villager count. He was faster to Imperial, but he didn't have any unit that could have actually rivaled in the middle. For example, TaToH made War Galley, but he didn't actually focus that much on water, so I'm not sure what to think about that upgrade, but mainly the problem was that he had 0 military that was actually able to combat the units from Mr. Yo.
Oh my god, man. Are you in the game?
Yep, I am. And we start off with quite a lot of fishing ships. That's the first time I'm actually seeing this map.
Really? Okay, so welcome. Not only a lot of fishing ships, which is correct, a lot of resources, man. Look in the middle of the map to the top right, you see it, the minimap. Look at the gold amount, man. Look at the stone amount. These games tend to be extremely long, which I don't like, or they're really short, which I like more in this case. But yeah, dude, we got Malay versus Byzantines. We are in modern, man. Who would have thought about this kind of Byzantines, man? Damn, what is this? Crazy. It's crazy. We got Yo on the left hand side with the Malay red color. He has chosen his TC to be there. And for TaToH, he's on the bottom right hand side with the Byzantines blue color. Very interesting to see against the Malay. Something I wouldn't have expected.
Yeah.
Really.
I just updated the score. So
All good.
Indeed, Malays against the Byzantines. Byzantines are a tiny bit surprising to me here.
Yeah.
On one point, it could be decent because you get your dock up very early, and eventually Byzantines are quite good in terms of fire galley combat. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, Greek fire, man.
So fire galleys is something to watch out for if you're looking at Byzantines, but I still feel like Malays are an amazing pick over here. Like it's gonna have. It's gonna have great impact on the fishing ego. I wonder what the uptime for Misteo is gonna be, but it has to be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And with the Malay, you just have such a sick boost for each of the progressions to the next time. It's just adds up a lot. You can get a beautiful momentum with that one. But at least, if it went that long, this kind of game, Byzantines at least have the great Imperial Age as well. That might be a possibility if TaToH is really about the later part of the game. And this map, of course, gives you a lot of resources. Can be extremely interesting. We'll see about this. Something maybe worth mentioning here. What is Yo doing there? Dropping this mining camp directly on the stone? Do I see it correctly, or is it just me fantasizing over here?
You
This
know,
could be a
something that's worth pointing out. Look at the food counts. Just look at the food counts right now.
Yeah. Yo,
That is amazing. Like, look at Mr. Yo. He's ready to click up. He's moving forward. So yeah,
forward, man.
because his opponent has nothing to defend himself with. Like, look at that uptime.
620, man. Yeah, this is gonna be a sick trush, man. Sick trush. He's gonna overwhelm TaToH. That is certainly something that he wouldn't expect. I guess both civs here are some kind of a fantasy pick, because I would see Malay on a different map. They can work on War on Emmet for sure. Byzantines definitely a surprising pick as well. But yeah, Yo is going for a fantastic move. As you said, what does TaToH plan to do against this? Is barely having enough food.
I wonder
to
if
cook up.
TaToH even suspects that is coming his way.
He's
He hasn't
not,
even
man.
clicked up.
He is not.
Oh,
man.
this could be one of the fastest games I've ever seen.
If it works, of course. I mean,
Yeah, if it works. But
yeah.
problem is for Mr. Yo is that he has kind of low mobility. So TaToH
Yeah.
can always escape to a different source of gold or stone. But
Exactly.
there is the first tower coming his way. Look at TaToH. He's like running away. Oh boy, there is
Nice
trouble.
spot. Dark Denied, Gold Denied, but a very important spot is the right hand side as well, that Yo is not aware of, obviously, so it's kind of a blind one. I mean, semi-blind. He could, of course, split up his army, attack from the right and the left, but due to the lack of map knowledge, which is often the case if you just start on Water Nomads, you just have the fishing boats, which is helpful, but very difficult. And TaToH, let's see. I mean, he is going to Field Age now. He might have possibilities to defend himself here.
Yeah, I'm not a major fan of towering in this case though. So towering is kind of like a gamble type of strategy. It is definitely possible to counter towering, especially if you do what TaToH did. He's just gonna escape to the right side and he will still have safe resources.
Yeah.
I just feel like playing conventional ways. Let's say going for a scouts build for Malay. That's not a frequent one you see, but imagine that scouts build when, like, at 6-minute mark, when TaToH is still in Dark Age, a few scouts pop up.
Yeah, of course. That would be insane, of course. And it's quite of a surprising move. it would have a lot of impact. At least we have an additional unit over here for Yo, the fire galley. And if he was just to go to the right inside, he would understand, okay, there must be some other gold, but Yo is suspecting that there's something going on to the south, potentially. The reason why he's going dangerously close to the TC here. Yo also with his villagers now dropping this tower. TaToH, does he see this? Why am I seeing Gaia here all the time? There we go. Yeah, of course he sees that. Makes sense. Okay. Okay. Pressure is on. Yo is going for it. He needs to hurry up.
Yeah, I agree. You got some fire galleys from Mr. Yo. He's doing a beautiful job towering, by the way. He's super, super fast. Look at that. He already cornered TaToH. I think that was the plan.
Yeah, we got 4 beautiful towers over here. Of course, the villas on the right-hand side, they're not being spotted and now safe somewhat. But more to happen. It's insane, man. You got TaToH in the corner.
Yeah, the only thing why TaToH is lucky is because he has a lot of villagers. Well, not a lot, but 4 villagers on the outside.
Exactly.
But indeed, how is TaToH gonna fight against this? And remember that there is still the fishing bonus for the Malays, so it is just a major, major eco lead for the Malay player in this type of a scenario.
Yeah, it's working like a charm over here. Indeed. More curious if TaToH wants to do something against this, because he's chosen to go for this defensive tower. That is now being spotted, by the way. So Yo might plan to harass these villas as well at some point of the game. But I don't see too much that TaToH does inside of his base besides the defensive structure with the houses to make sure that the villas will have to either batter down the lumber camp or go close by to the TC. But besides that, just lost the vill here, TaToH. Not going too well. Villager count 26 to 20. But
yeah, that is. This feels like a very, very major civilization win to me. You know, I would definitely like to see Mr. Yo trying to be a little bit more aggressive on the left side, because that is a place where TaToH could potentially escape.
Yep.
If he adds a few palisades, that could be quite reasonable, just to make sure that TaToH doesn't sneak out, or just tries to push that right side tower. That also works. You got more fire galleys coming up for Mr. Yo. He's just having a so much better eco.
Yeah, I like this. I like this because what he's going to do now is he's going to deny the stone that has been spotted on the right hand side, and he is going to deal with the rest inside of TaToH's base with the galleys. Just go in there to the juicy part to the south that is not too close to the TC and not too close to the tower, and deal with the villas like that. And if that's successful, of course, because for now we have a villager war also happening on the right hand side where the tower, the game-changing tower, is supposed to go up here, but we'll see TaToH with some excellent quick walling, securing one villager that will constantly batter down this tower. We'll see what else is going to happen.
Yeah, but that's just one villager bearing down the tower, and you got the stone mine denied. Remember that it is also the fire galley of Mr. Yo cleaning up the fishing eco of TaToH. So TaToH has 8 fishing ships in theory, but look at how idle those guys are. Like, he has 5 at the back of his base, one of them is actually stuck. He can actually utilize those those fishing ships either, and that is going to be an even better advantage for Mr. Yo.
Yeah, it looks really good here. Finally getting some double bid axe, by the way. Very interesting. But besides that, successful tower that has gone up. A reason for TaToH to move out once again to the right hand side, where he goes for the gold now. And he will spot more if he just proceeds in that direction. But besides that, if we just evaluate what is happening on the middle of the map, we see both sides having the fire galleys. 3 for Yo, 3 also for TaToH, and also demolition raft. TaToH tries to be there with his military here, trying his best to actually show some presence and be as effective as possible, but Yo is not playing that kind of game. He's going inside of TaToH's base once again with 5 more villagers.
Yeah, the map is called Water Nomad. This is the Mongol Shallows version of Water Nomad. It's also written in Capture Age, right next to the minimap. So yeah,
exactly.
You're gonna have another tower from Mr. Yo. TaToH will still have safe resources. The biggest problem for him is that he cannot utilize his fishing ships. And if you take a look at the eco of Mr. Yo, he basically has all his food eco on his fishing ships. So he's free to mine stone, gold, and chop wood with the villagers. Meanwhile, TaToH is forced to use... Oh, look at that! Did you see the tower from Mr. Yo just killing all the water buffaloes by TaToH's town center?
Oh, really? I just realized.
That is amazing.
No more,
literally
no
what I
more
wanted to
fielding
say
coming
is that TaToH is forced to use villagers to take those water buffaloes, because he cannot utilize his fishing ships very efficiently because he's running out of fish. So,
Yeah, it's sick, man.
so that is extremely smart, and Yo is intentionally trying to starve out TaToH from food. He's denying the fishing ships. He's sniping down those water buffaloes, just making sure that there is no way TaToH can access food. And
Beautiful.
they're both very close to clicking up. This could get very
beautiful.
surprising.
Yeah, it's surprising indeed, especially for TaToH here, that he's actually accomplishing this kind of thing, despite being economically disadvantaged, for sure. But it's going to happen. The question is, what is the game plan in the next age then for both players, especially with Yo having a huge momentum over here? Curious about this kind of tower.
For
that he
Mr.
was-
Yo, it's kind of obvious. He's still chopping stone. I would say forward castle right next to the town center. He has 3 towers covering it. There is no way TaToH can stop that. And look at Mr. Yo. He's escorting away all those water buffaloes. He's doing an amazing job. As we see TaToH with a breakout attempt on the left side. Seems okay so far. But yeah, TaToH basically has 0 food access now. He's gonna get forced to make farms, but which is gonna be a quite expensive thing to do.
Yeah, indeed. Yo's not going for castle age, by the way. So what you've said with the forward castle would be a perfect idea to just add up to the whole drama that is going on in Water Nomad currently. Absolutely beautiful. I just like what TaToH did here on the left-hand side, just trying to make sure that he was not too successful, but still the tower is going up there. Yo just doesn't give in, right? He just constantly has... I don't know, he just is so consistent with this push. He just doesn't give in. He just doesn't say, no, okay, I'm just going to back off. It's just constantly his momentum, and he is not backed off for a single second over here. And I think
That's
more
what
is
he needs to
about
do,
happen.
I mean, he has the upper hand. He knows that he's gonna starve his opponent out of resources. One thing to point out, these Byzantine towers have more HP than the ones from the Malays, so
Exactly.
in terms of tower wars, that should be an advantage for Byzantines, but look at the difference in castle age times. Eventually, Mr. Yo doesn't have enough stone to make forward castle. I wouldn't be surprised to see... It has to be University plus... plus guard towers. At this point, that is the way to go. War Galley is hitting, as we see some galleys popping out for Mr. Yo over here. He's gonna have wheelbarrow as well. Overall, I feel like this is very good for Yo, as we see the forward siege workshop. He's completely gonna trap TaToH in here. The only chance for TaToH to escape this is something that he tried on the previous game. That basically... he places the town center outside of his trapped area and tries to reboom that way. But Mr. Yo is doing an amazing job trying to clean up everything that TaToH has. Basically, TaToH has 4 villagers outside on the right, but that's it.
Exactly. I just looked at them once again, and they're just getting some wood. Better than nothing, for sure. But besides that, he just contains him where he is at, just in the southern corner. Demolition raft now going down and making sure that the first Mangonel is not going up. That's beautiful. That's at least very important for TaToH and the timing, because he's at least slowing down Yo, making sure that the disadvantage is not that crazy. Next Mangonel is in the making though. The situation is really bad. Still not enough stone, as you said. University would be quite useful over here. And yeah, next upgrades also very important. We have war galleys, we have fire ships, all the beautiful navy units here, just to make sure that Yo is up there, keeping up the pressure like that. And I'm just curious what TaToH is gonna plan afterwards. I mean, what he can do now is add a TC to the right hand side, and I believe that this is what is going to happen exactly here. That might give him a lot of chance, because we must keep in mind we are in Water Nomad, we are on a map with a lot of resources. So we've seen one-side games being turned around in, I know, 1 hour and 10 minutes, and all of a sudden the other one won because of the massive resource income. You just don't starve out that easily, especially if you have a couple of those outside, which is the case. So that might give TaToH a bit of hope. Still,
yeah, one thing I want to point out here. Mr. Yo has water buffaloes scattered all around the map, so when the villagers of TaToH on the right side moved past those water buffaloes, Mr. Yo lost them. So he's gonna have a sense that TaToH is there, and you already have the fire ship trying to clean up that lumber camp. He knows that TaToH is outside with a few units. He can't find the town center just yet. And I feel like the aggressiveness of Misteo is slowing down a tiny bit. I don't see any guard towers. I don't see any attempt to be super aggressive. Like, those mangonos could try to take down that town center. Instead, they're trying to fight the left side, which is something I'm not a major fan of. No guard towers still. So I feel like, yeah, he contains TaToH, but TaToH's eco is kind of alright. Again, he's just 3 villagers behind. Fishing ship count is the same. You have the fish traps up for the Byzantine player. So I wouldn't say it's a major advantage for Misteo right now.
Yeah, not anymore, interestingly, but Joe hasn't given up exactly on the idea with more pressure. I would say it seems like it. He has indeed been more passive now within the next... I mean, the past 2 minutes, we haven't seen too much, but I expect within the next 5 minutes we would maybe see a forward castle, even because he has a lot of villagers on stone. This might be it, but the question is where to drop it. Potentially to the south, of course, but we'll actually see, because for now, it's still TaToH's game here to make something out of it, because he's given the chance, and TaToH is one of the players who says, okay, if I'm given the chance, I will certainly do something out of it.
You know, at this point, I would heavily consider, if I was Yo, adding a few stone walls around the base of TaToH. Normally, walling your opponent is a funny approach, and that usually doesn't work out because your opponent has the chance to drop a siege workshop. Yeah. But one thing that TaToH is missing right now is space, surprisingly. He doesn't have a lot of space to drop a siege workshop and start popping out rams to take down those walls, or mangonels. Like, look at how much space he has to deal with.
And not too much, obviously, not too much. This is gonna keep him very busy, very tight area that he has to operate on, and also at the same time, very important by Yo to finally make sure that the right-hand side is being cleaned up as well. That might be a potential danger that can arise if being neglected. So Yo moving to the right-hand side, making sure that the only remaining space that TaToH actually has is the one that you've mentioned, the south, the crowded south.
Meanwhile, Yo has amassed enough stone to make a castle, and the castle is gonna be right next to the TC. He just wants to contain, and I like this castle, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because what TaToH can do is try to run. If he runs into the war galleys. If he doesn't run, the castle is gonna clean this up. And that will just buy time for Mr. Yo, and meanwhile, TaToH is gonna run out of resources. TaToH, or Mr. Yo is gonna get more stone, and he can drop another castle. So I'm kind of fine with this castle over here.
It does a lot of damage. It does a lot of damage. TaToH once again.
Look at that. TaToH is running, and this is the moment when Yo needs to strike, start killing those villagers. Exactly. Because this is the town center that provides the safety for those villagers. If the villagers leave, the war galleys are free to kill.
Come on. This tower will go up, though. I'll strongly suspect. TaToH's going for Imperial Age, by the way. He has the cheaper requirements for it due to being the Byzantines and their bonus. Very important. You can potentially make use of that, but not if you don't have any space, not if you don't have any, area to make use of your economy and then just to spread out. It's impossible. Therefore, I'm very concerned for TaToH's future here, near future. This castle is beautiful, as I said. The villagers are on the run, and yeah, TaToH not giving too much of an option over here.
Yeah, TaToH is completely cornered. He's gonna be soon one town center. He's having population issues that is also concerning because of his lacking space. So he can't even drop a lot of houses. It is gonna be rams and war galleys popping out for that or Mr. Yo. He just wants to clean this right side up.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Just to be super persistent, make sure that there's no other spot that TaToH can operate on. And if that is accomplished, I think TaToH will not say, okay, I might try hard over here. He will say, okay, I have no space. What can I do, man? It's GG for me. So that is probably the scenario within the next few minutes, because it is quite successful. I just don't see too many vills on the right-hand side anymore. And the Imperial Age will be the difference maker. I see no castle. I see no resources. What exactly is it going to gain from that one? Rather rhetorical question, because it's not
look at that
anywhere,
TC
man.
from TaToH. He still wants to do it, but I think that is something that Mr. Yo is going to spot very fast. Yeah, Mr. Yo spots that town center, so he's just going to unleash death on it as well. Meanwhile, Yo is amassing a decent amount of stone as well, so I wouldn't be surprised on another forward castle, possibly with these 4 villagers from Yo. He's having the university, so this might be time. That's Locracy.
Yeah, I love it, man. TaToH is the most beautiful.
There is some lakes over here. He could drop a few docks.
Yeah, you know, you got the towers, you use the lakes, drop a couple of harbors, and then what? Then what? We've seen them being super successful during ECL, also in this tournament. They've worked like a charm over here, and there we go, man. TaToH is now going for fast fire ships, but I'm not so positive that it will work because of the realistic scenario that we're in, which is no space, no real time in PLH by Yo as well now. Yeah, what you want to do, man? What?
Yeah, it is insanely hard for TaToH. He's still holding out though, which is a tiny bit surprising. I feel like again, Mr. Yo is not aggressive enough.
Yeah, he's playing the safe game.
He's messing around too much trying to chase down TaToH on the right side on overall. Instead, if he goes direct push and just crashes in what TaToH has here, TaToH has nowhere to run. He could kill so many stuff over here. But if he adds a forward castle over here, it is gonna be insanely hard for TaToH to run away.
Exactly. I mean, true indeed. It's just insane for me to see that TaToH is actually able to raid here at this point. Making use of those beautiful fast fire ships, the Byzantine's fast fire ships. They will go down eventually, but still, they quite deal some damage. That's beautiful. It's not the game-ending situation here, but still, Yo, as I said, not too aggressive. In my opinion, I estimate this as the safe kind of game. Not go full aggressive. Don't just do any mistakes here. Don't go for any risks. But you know,
he's way too passive. He's playing hide and seek with TaToH, and TaToH is now breaking out. Look at that. He has 2 town centers on the outside.
It's backfiring at this point.
It's absolutely backfiring because TaToH is 26 villagers behind, but. Yeah, like look at that. These fire ships will eat up the war, guys. I'm starting to feel like TaToH could come back to this one. If he breaks out of his base, this is clear advantage for TaToH. He has the upper hand in military.
It's not going too well here all of a sudden. Yo is not making use of it. I mean, he has some Socracy, but so far we don't see them harbors being super safe. We don't see them...
It's just at the back of his base, and that's it. He has University for Ballistics, which is fancy, but I was waiting for guard towers for quite a lot of time, and look at the base of TaToH. Where are the towers from Mr. Yo? Nowhere to be found.
They're not there anymore, man. They've been taken down because the fire ships, as we all know, making use of the fact that murder holes currently not being researched is an issue. And all of a sudden, no more towers. You're absolutely correct. So, it's backfiring, as we said. I still think that Yo has the upper hand because of the scenario that we're in.
Yo still has the upper hand. However, he really needs to start pushing the base of TaToH because TaToH is coming back to this one. He is one step away from rebooming. Look at TaToH's TC placements. And when he starts rebooming, these Byzantine fire ships will just eat up everything. Look at the building HP going down from them.
Crazy, man. It adds up quite heavily here. So I don't know. Yo playing the safe game over here, and now actually about to regret it because there's a lot of fast fire ships, man. 13 for now. At this point, TaToH has more military than Yo.
And you know, I'm starting to believe this is gonna be quickly swinging in the favor of TaToH for an amazing comeback. Like these fire ships absorb just so much arrow fire. They just melt buildings in seconds. Like look at this. Look at this tower go down. If TaToH focuses all fire, he could just destroy that, but he isn't even forced to do so. Mr. Yo is very, very spread out because he didn't actually account for the fact that TaToH could break out. So there is a lot of spaces where TaToH could raid.
That's true indeed. That's true indeed. But I mean, if he needs to understand that if he just secures the ground by adding those relatively cheap harbors, that would just make sure that TaToH's not going to be as successful, because we've seen he didn't take down this tower because there was a TC and a harbor as well. Something that is not so good for the fast fire ships to deal with. And yeah, it can work like this, but for that one, he now needs to do his best. But we see how the fast fire ships are also pushing in as much as possible.
Yeah, these fast fire ships are just amazing, even though they lost a lot of HP, so most of them will sink right now. But look at that. I see bombard cannons. There you go, fast fire ships and bombard cannons, and this is a defensive castle. Yeah, this is a defensive castle for Mr. Yo, the first time. So far he's been on the offensive, but now he's forced to make a defensive castle. could be in the danger of losing it.
Yeah, it's insane, man.
TaToH, you know, if you ask me at this point who I think it's gonna win, I would say TaToH.
I mean, if we just jump into this game and see this, for sure, man, because we see the far more superior army composition, even though, and I just say this because Yo just doesn't make use of the means that he is given, because he can indeed add more of those harbors and make sure that there's not much space for TaToH to operate on. But you've mentioned it, he's spread out and he didn't actually.
Yeah, he was playing too much hide and seek, that's my belief.
Exactly, and he didn't design his plan to be working in a situation where the hide and seek worked out in favor for TaToH over here all of a sudden. So that will be quite a mess to clean up. This
castle on the right side was actually not a horrible idea when he actually made that. But remember that I said that if he places it in the middle of TaToH's base, that could have done so much damage. At that point, I think it was good decision to place it that way to clean up the castle, but he couldn't clean up the villagers. Those villagers were still running around, and he couldn't deal enough damage on the base of TaToH, and that's the problem. He was playing too much hide and seek, that's the thing.
Yeah, and you know, I have Law of Grand Patera in the chat. He says Yo should make 0 gold to any swordsman, those forced levy type of things. Okay, fair enough, but look at the gold we still have on this map. We're in minute 46. We're talking about 77k gold on this map. This is
that's an amazing amount of gold. There is no way that anyone is gonna get starved out of this one.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, this map. Yeah, I know. I don't like it too much, to be honest. I don't like the fact that we have so many resources. That might be... It's just for the sake of everyone having a good start when it comes to beginning with your initial TC and whatnot. But yeah, no. At this point, it's not really beautiful for the game, because it's... Even though one player is about to die, if he just is given the time, he can find a new spot and a lot of resources, and all of a sudden is back in the game. Something we've seen with Yo and Doubt, for instance. But yeah, this is how it is, and all of a sudden TaToH is still doing a great game. He's spread out to the left, to the right. We see a lot of military here, 23 to 21. Just economy-wise, Yo's still doing a better job, but he's losing ground.
Yeah, he's losing ground. He's pushing the left side, but these fire ships just eat up everything. And on the right side, the castle is going down from Mr. Yo. Those bombard cannons are doing so much damage.
It's crazy, it's crazy. I'm just curious how TaToH will actually deal with the push, the little push that we have here now, with those beautiful units of Yo about to march in here. A lot of those are retreating and towards the middle of the map, the middle of his base to the south. TaToH now going for guard tower, interestingly. So a lot of things are happening at the same time. It's definitely a late game that we've reached. Galleons, fast fire ships, a lot of fast fire ships, 11 even being queued up here. The BBCs, tough, man, tough times.
Yeah, I feel like if Yo wants to do this, he needs to collapse one side of TaToH's base. Instead of fighting all around the front line, he needs to push in on the left, like super heavy push, like exactly what he does. Focus on one town center, take down that production. He cannot contain TaToH anymore. What he needs to do is just try to reach the deeper parts of TaToH's base, get as many kills as he can.
Yeah. The issue now is TaToH has a wonderful plan, actually. This is what we've seen from many players. Of course, a lot of Chinese players do it, which is late game keeps or guard towers, whatever they're given. TaToH tries to do this now, but is now witnessing how Yo already has his own keeps ready as well. So I guess when it comes to this kind of gameplay, Yo has the upper hand. This kind of toxic keep engagement, always dropping more and more of them. It will be really tough to deal with them, but TaToH has the fast fire ships, and we know they could melt down these buildings.
Look at these fast fire ships. It's amazing how much they just destroy these buildings. They also have some bombard cannon support. So yeah, right side is getting heavily pushed by Mr. Yo, or at Mr. Yo's base, but look at the left side. I wouldn't sleep on the left side, because now it is Mr. Yo moving in. So I would say that it could still be good for Mr. Yo. He has a lot of ground to fall back to. Meanwhile, TaToH is getting cornered. If he loses the left-hand side TC, you got the galleons inside sinking the fishing ships.
Really bad all of a sudden. I mean, you've mentioned it. Try to collapse one side, which Yo tried and successfully attempted now. Pushing from the left-hand side, and he's now in the middle. He has constructed all the fishing boats of TaToH actually. That was quite a devastating move. And yeah, TaToH is just about to be annihilated over here. He has lost way too much in my opinion. He still has a lot of vills, not as much as Yo, of course, but he is suffering now. Now it's more evident that Yo might have the upper hand.
His eco is very weak, and one thing I want to point out is the slow starvation of TaToH here. So he's cleaning up these towers, but every time he engages those towers, every time they actually take a fight over here on the right side, some of those fire ships get some shots from those keeps. And TaToH just doesn't have enough eco to sustain that production. He's way too behind, I think.
Yeah, it's tough. If he loses his army, it will be really impossible to actually reinforce. I mean, he has quite some wood. His food count is terrible. The gold count also not the most impressive one if you compare to Yo, for instance. It's tough. If he loses his army, it might be over for him. It might be a reason for him to call it. We see how the gallons are now the reason for mass migration once again on the bottom right hand side of the map.
And now Yo is pushing very good. Yo is pushing amazing, exactly what he needs to move forward with the castles. He's gonna drop another castle. He has to. Right next to the town center over here. He has to drop another castle. Just cut off the starting base of TaToH over here. There's a lot of villagers at the back of the base for TaToH. He's gonna lose too much.
Especially these villagers on woods. They are extremely vulnerable at this point. This defensive castle of TaToH, quite helpful to just make sure that it will take more time for Yo to push him through, but yeah, TaToH is now forced to take his entire army, engage now to make sure that the gallons go down. But if you look at this engagement, man, I see all the fast fire ships going down. This might be GG over here.
Yeah, it's absolutely GG. The biggest problem for TaToH, I think, in this engagement was that the fast fire ships are not super efficient killing villagers. And even though TaToH was pushing, Yo had a lot of space to fall back to. And this is exactly what he needed. He just ran back with his villagers, lost some ground, but in return he killed a lot of villagers from TaToH, killed a lot of town centers, and now this is Mr. Yo's game. As we see Rams coming up for Yo.
Yeah. I mean, normally it's GG now, but then again we have to keep in mind we're in water now. There's so many resources still left.
Mr. Yo needs a castle. Drop it. He's making steel towers. I would love to see a castle. I think that is what could seal this game. If you drop a castle like right over here on this, somewhere on that wood line would be denied, and you could cut TaToH's forces to half. Basically corner them to the left hand side and to the right side.
Okay, I mean, for that one, of course, he needs to go forward and drop it, but as you said, it's more about...
Like, he has 15 villagers here on the front line. He could just drop it.
True. I mean, he just needs 200 more stone, then we're in it. But no, it's gonna be just more and more towers, interestingly. I mean, fair enough. It's still gonna do work. Fine. The gallons are still there. See that TaToH is actually building more and more docks, but now he's realized that's not gonna work anymore. The game could continue like this at least for 10-15 more minutes, or even more if we wanted to. But nope. Says we'll not do this, and all of a sudden, LidaKor, we have a 3-0 situation in the best of 9. Not a good start for TaToH for sure. Yeah, we'll soon see, because the game is gonna start, and I already saw a hill as a spoiler in the original version, and it's Watershed indeed. It's the map where we have the Persians being super successful for TaToH, and we had this topic before the game. We had the topic about TaToH's potential preparation for this game, and I think his training partner is TaToH in this case. For Yo, it is Nikov in most of the cases. And TaToH has used the Persians on this map, and it was successful for the reason that you've also mentioned, LidaKor, the fast potential dock, the great economy, and then the upcoming effect of that one being really strong in the next time.
Yeah, I agree. So, Persians against Britons, one thing that kind of stands out for me is if we go for a British archer build. Let's not forget that Persian knights also get a bonus against archers, so Persians are a quite decent counter to what the Britons can actually have on this type of a map.
Yeah, for sure. I would say so as well. I mean, I always find it awkward if you're facing what's that, crossbows or archers? Let's say crossbows, and then you're forced to go for the knights, and it's quite predictable. It's a game that happens with Franks, for instance, a lot. But with Persians, you might be triggered into doing that one as well. But you said it, the bonus is quite sick. Extra damage against the archer line is quite heavy. And on a map like this, it's beautiful because there are reasons to go for archers. There are reasons to go for mobile units, rather more mobile units, because there are a lot of dimensions here. It's an open map for sure. But we also have a lot of choke points. We have a lot of wood patches where the crossbows can hide. We have the shallows, where the water aspect is quite huge. All of a sudden, the galleys become emphasized in their strength. We have the size. This is a quite complex map, and I think both civilizations, of course, work on it. The question is, of course, who's going to be more effective. In my opinion, Yo has better chances here, dealing with the Britons like that. But then again, Britons and TaToH and Britons, something that I've seen in my own tournament in Demise Red Arena Cup, he has had an insane game with the Britons. His micro, when it comes to surviving with his range units, is quite insane. All of this can happen. I'm excited. This will be insane, and I'm already excited to see this boar steal, the Rhino steal, I'm sorry, by Yo.
Yeah, I like his approach. So he's not letting it out. At 3-0 lead, you wouldn't actually gamble for a boar lane, but he's someone who does that, and I love that.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, I'm leading 3-0, but I really need everything I got to win this one. And normally, in the case of 3-0, oh no, he's going back. He's going back. Still, that scout could actually go for it. I think he's gonna be able to reclaim
be careful, though, man.
It has to be very close. Like one, and he needs to run.
Yeah, he needs to run, man. No more hits. I mean, now he's uphill. That will be just okay, but yeah.
It was close, but eventually it works out quite well for him. He's really grabbing everything he can. So you can tell that he's really determined to win this tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you're talking about Mr. Yo in terms of tournaments, he wasn't very super great in the 1v1 tournaments of recent times. I mean, he's a great player. I really like his style as well. But if you ask anyone who are the top 1v1 players, you wouldn't actually say that Mr. Yo is someone who could win 3 games in a row against TaToH.
Yeah, at least in recent times, I fully agree with that one. It is quite difficult, but you said it. He's just making use of everything that he's given.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mr. Yo is playing one of his best games. I think he's in a super great form today.
Definitely, man.
So overall, this tournament, and I'm not sure how much he practiced, but eventually he's also very familiar with the box setup. I'm not sure if you remember that or not, but there was a show match at like half a year ago or so, or maybe less, a best of 5 Bok type of a show match. I think it was Lix versus Vivi or so, and he was the one who actually hosted that.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
And
I saw it on AoE Zone.
Yeah, I actually remember casting it, and I was surprised for a second because last game was that match there as well, so I feel like that could have been a precursor to this tournament. As you see, forward brags by Mr. Yo.
Yeah, super aggressive. Ooh, he deletes that. He says, no, I'm just gonna do something else here. I'm just gonna move forward, drop it somewhere else, or
yeah, he's like, it's just TaToH who needs a Brax.
Yeah, it's sick. Maybe he's just, now it's just a tower. He said, you know what, barracks is cool. Nah, we need a tower, man. Let's go for the tower. And here we are, just 1 second difference between the two, 1 second difference. But
yeah, these witchers are just dancing around.
Yeah. Not so ideal of Yo, I gotta be honest. But
yeah,
still,
that was super problematic for him. A lot of idle time on those villagers. Eventually, the tower is gonna get slowed down as well. Counter tower coming up by TaToH, and TaToH is making spears. For what? TaToH is making spears. I feel like maybe he's conserving gold for something different. That's what I can think of, because I don't see Mr. Yo going for any scouts.
Yeah, TaToH's going for demolition rafts, right? So that's the big idea. Spearman and demolition raft, but the tower is up and...
Oh, TaToH has actually reached the tower. That was a low HP palisade wall. But still, This could get interesting. Problem is that Misteo doesn't have any military to back these villagers up. Oh!
Catastrophe, man. Early in the game. What was it? 3
Absolute
villagers?
game changer by TaToH. Absolute game changer.
3 vills down. Really beautiful. Really
Yeah,
good points.
that's 3 villagers. And could be more. There is the fire galley coming up from Misteo. Now TaToH is adding stone walls. He wants to make sure that his eco is better. And you know, at this point, I absolutely like his approach. So he's like, hey, I just killed 3 villagers, right? I haven't lost anything. And Misteo still has 2 villagers on the front line. So he's like, that means that I have a 5 villagers advantage basically in terms of production. So I can afford to add walls and just start booming because 5 villager difference is actually significant.
That early in the game for sure. I absolutely agree. I love the stone walls here. I hate them in random games. I love them in tournaments because that's always a way to make sure that no one's going to pass in through here. That these no ships here because the shadows are now being completely stone off here. That's beautiful. And the right hand side is somewhat protected as well with those palisades. So the middle section of TaToH's back part, so to speak, is completely secured when it comes to water aggression. That is, of course, ideal. It's a good start for TaToH, great engagement, and we see the archers are now in the making, and I love them Britons archers, I love their output, I love this kind of military bonus that they have. Also in the later part of the game, it's just so insane how they can mass up the numbers. Blacksmith in the making, fletching will kick in very soon. It's a great opportunity for TaToH. He just needs to make sure that his archers will go to the destination that is actually intended.
Yeah, I agree. Scouts is the answer from Misteo for this one. And one thing I'm just thinking about, how many times did this series or Misteo go for towers? He went for it last game. He went for it on game 2.
Didn't he go for it in game... Well,
I
last
can't
game was
remember.
game number 3, game 2, yeah.
But
game
these
number
2
1 was
games went for
Koreans to begin
towers.
with.
So normally in this matchup or this map, I wouldn't have gone forward, to be honest.
Yeah.
So he really wants to fight it with towers. Oh, there is that tower coming up from Misteo. Is that something that TaToH can see? On the left side.
Yeah, he sees that, and he is about to deny
Oh,
it. With...
that's dead villagers. I sense that villagers low HP bills. But the scouts arrive at the exact moment you needed them to.
Yeah, interestingly, TaToH doesn't have fletching yet, even though he built the blacksmith. And this tower is actually going up. It's insane.
Yeah, TaToH still has a lot of space to fall back to. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't
that's
worry
important.
if I was him. I wouldn't worry.
Yeah.
In fact, I would try... You know, if he had some palisades over here on the left side to protect his base, that would be very nice. And he could afford to use those archers to move towards the base of Misteo, because Misteo is mining stone with 3, he has 4 villagers, he has lost a lot, so I would say that he's gonna have a slower castle age time.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what happens,
Yo is going for the full feudal push if...
Exactly, he's gonna go for skirms, I guess.
Yeah, scouts and skirms.
Archers even, okay.
Huh. I think it might be a mix of archers and skirms. Let's see.
Yeah.
Misteo is mining gold with just 1 villager, so he can't have a great output of archers. But skirms could be a good approach, especially if he has that much mobility from his scouts. That's actually a formidable force of scouts. If he moves in on
insane, man.
lumberjacks, this could be fancy. Because
Yeah.
there is a lot of spears from TaToH, but most of them are inside that one particular army, so...
Yeah. But some good quick walls here by TaToH to save himself. The wood line is now protected. That was essential. Otherwise, it would have been really devastating. That's fine. It's fine. Besides that, though, no aggression from TaToH. He's once again somewhat cornered, right? The pressure from the left and from the right-hand side, we have the scouts. That's not ideal, man.
Yeah, like, TaToH just lost the spearman fighting a fire galleon. That's not the greatest way to use those. Meanwhile, Misteo lost a villager building an outpost here on the left. That was kind of sloppy. But still, I like the way that Yo has more mobility. He can just force TaToH on the defensive anytime he wants. So basically,
Yeah.
TaToH, unless he walls himself completely, he cannot move towards the base of Misteo with his archers because of these scouts around the base.
Exactly. Problem. It's a huge problem, actually. That needs to deal with. I mean, the spearmen are nice when it comes to protection for now. They also protect the archers. With that one, he could think of moving out. This is what he does now to the east of his island, now preparing his units, I believe. There's some ideas. TaToH also on stone for the record. Okay. I think this is still possible for TaToH to do a lot of things here. Looking at the resources for the record, TaToH is somewhat closer to Castle Age, just saying. There might be possibilities, whereas Yo is going for more and more action. That is investments on water, galley, and demolition raft in the making.
Yeah, so one thing I want to point out, first of all, that Misteo suicided a villager over here into the archer fire rest. We see TaToH moving out finally, is that Misteo has the upper hand in fishing eco. So even though he's now 10 villagers behind, but he has the upper hand in fishing eco, so that kind of compensates for that a tiny bit, as he can snipe a few villagers over here. So with the help of the fishing eco, I would say that this could still be fairly balanced in terms of eco, unless he loses his fishing ships to the archers here.
That might very well be here. There we go. TaToH has clicked up earlier. Great stuff. He is being harassed inside of his base though. Lost a villager there, but the tower is gonna save the day.
Oh yeah, but there is some skirms arriving.
Yeah, it's problematic, but okay. The woodland is now safe. More to be done though. Yo is adding a tower inside of the base of TaToH. TaToH might have a quite nice army that has potential damage output, but two things are happening. First of all, the raid inside, and there's demolition raft. There's the intention of Yo to make something go and explode, but we will see that this might be because TaToH is on the right hand side, exactly where the demolition rafts are. So he's best advised to actually go on the land before he loses this army.
Yeah, meanwhile, indeed, Misteo is inside the base of TaToH, so it's very tricky. If you're just talking about the military force of TaToH, oh, that's a beautiful snipe on the villager, but kind of a waste to me.
Yeah, and then another demolition raft going in, and
oh no, patrols!
God.
No!
Yeah, oh my god.
No patrols from TaToH. That might have been a game-deciding demo. Exactly what Misteo needed. What I wanted to say is that TaToH has the sheer military force, but his eco is getting raided very heavily. Now, TaToH doesn't really have a great military force. He has a few archers, but that's it. Meanwhile, he's getting towered like crazy, and I feel like with the help of those skirms, the spears can't catch up with the scouts. And TaToH might win this from Feudal, or Misteo, sorry.
Yeah. Crossbow now in the making, final fletching. That's
and
insane.
look at that villager from Misteo. If he's smart, he's gonna place a tower on this very wood line here. Oh, this could be glued.
Where do you mean? Oh, this one villager on the right hand side. Yeah, that will
if he adds a tower and just parks these scouts right next to that wood line, those villagers never escape. Now, meanwhile,
sure.
These are the British crossbows that are fancy for sniping down villagers. Botkin was a tiny bit late. There is some crossbows on the left side as well. But again, TaToH is getting his base heavily pressured.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yo is just playing this so sick.
Yeah, super sick.
All the ideas that
still,
TaToH
he's
has
Feudal.
just...
Can he win a game from Feudal against a Castle Age player?
Say what?
Yeah, and Misteo is not adding a tower over here on the left side, which makes me sad a tiny bit. He doesn't have the stone for that.
Dude, this is so insane, man. I just want to... at least something really important that TaToH is now finally able to snipe off a couple of
Yeah,
blows.
that's exactly what he needed. No town centers to protect these guys. That's a lot of dead villagers for a possibility.
Yeah, exactly. There's the possibility, but I'm not so sure because I was about to mention Yo seems to have everything somewhat under control all the time. This might change if the crossbows are being messed up even further on. We're talking about 13 currently, and more are being made. And for Yo, I'm not so entirely sure because this full feudal play, at least for now, he might lose his momentum here. I'm not so sure if that's going to be the right thing.
The problem is that he's going to get eventually... Oh, there is the tower coming up on the wood line of TaToH. Still, now it's a 10 villager lead for TaToH, but the fishing ships are still on the side of Mr. Yo. I'm starting to believe that if TaToH can just continue to go for crossbows, he's going to win by technology. That's it. Eventually, crossbows are fairly efficient against these skirmishers, especially if you take a look at the range. 8 total range for those British crossbows, 5 for the skirms.
Hard to engage. Very hard to engage.
Even with the extra armor the skirms have, it is insanely hard to fight these British crossbows, as TaToH is adding TC number 2. I'm starting to feel like TaToH is gonna get this one. Yeah, it's just not enough pressure from the feudal army from Mr. Yo.
Exactly. What he needs now is, of course, maybe just attack this tower there on that is harassing his bot line, his initial one. But also the skirms are around. This is not ideal. So he needs to save bot line. Once he has that one, I think it's going to be a safe game, at least in theory. Whereas Yo now going for something. What is he doing, man? Is he going for more scouts now? Yeah, he's just going for more scouts. Going for skateboarding armor. Okay, he's just not giving up, man. He just thinks that it might work in feudal age.
Yeah, now TaToH might lose a few villagers here to the skirms, which is quite sad to see. Like, how do you lose villagers to skirms? But yeah, problem is that the British are just so suitable for this kind of a fight. When you have to fight with weaker units, you have the upper hand in the range, and that is just so significant here. They can snipe down those guys before they could even engage.
Exactly. That is absolutely possible. Therefore, of course, it's going to be tough for Yo to actually achieve something in the later part of the game. I mean, his philosophy is just to mess up as much as possible, but also TaToH now is somewhat able to send in quite some destructive force.
Yeah, TaToH is doing very good raiding on all sides, and he's gonna be free town centers, he's gonna have a skyrocketing eco, while Yo will get stuck in feudal forever.
Yeah, I mean, Britain's economy is quite nice, the boom is quite nice, it starts nicely with the shepherds, but also the cheap TCs, it's just beautiful. Therefore, a tough one is if you are Persians and in feudal age and have lost your momentum, actually, which I don't appreciate to see, but it's good for the game, actually. I love it, because then it would mean that TaToH finally gets a point here.
Yeah, and this is why these British crossbows are just so efficient. You have these guys sniping down villagers from miles away,
Exactly.
and like, they can deny so many resources by just the sheer presence of theirs.
Yeah, it's indeed possible. It's just I mean, I love them British crossbows because they got so boosted with all the nice bonuses that they have. And yeah, with just one archer range, two archer ranges, it just gets sick, the output, the damage, the potential, and it's GG. Wow, that was a fast one all of a sudden. GG. And
yeah,
over.
he just lost his scout army here that attempted to raid TaToH's eco. He realizes that he is now in basically facing 20-ish British crossbows that can raid wherever they want. And the fact that he's in feudal means that he cannot even do defensive town centers. He's forced to make defensive towers, but it's not going to happen in the long run.
Did the early harassment attempt by TaToH being successful-ish? Nope. Not successful, at least.
Well, the idea is there. That's very important, that he's trying to snipe down a few villagers, because the biggest thing you can do in this type of a scenario is that you snipe down a few villagers, delay the building of the other buildings. As you see a halberdier plus siege ranger approach from Misteo, he's going for a castle as well early on. Could this be Boyars?
Yeah, I mean, he needs the boyars, of course.
Meanwhile, look at the castles from TaToH. He wants to secure map control with it. He already has the paladins running inside, but those halberdiers are just so great. I think the castle actually stands for Druzhina first of all, but I wonder if he's gonna go for a few boyars with that. We'll see. Hans could definitely go for a cav archer build, and that seems to be the case with a growing number of archer ranges. Oh, this is gonna get so fast.
It's gonna be really messed up here in a few seconds. I just saw the fact that Yo is fully aware of this bonus. He's just building military buildings besides anything else. He doesn't need the houses yet. The SLs are now in the making. Halberdiers are out, and I'm just waiting for the boyars. Oh, traps. I'm sorry, it's gonna be about the traps now. Very fast moves also by TaToH. Sneak villager on the very left hand side, dropping a castle. Just thinking ahead because it's gonna be about the well, what's that called? Just the map control very soon. We have a lot of SLs and helps approaching, going to the front vs the heavy cav archers.
Yeah, heavy cav archers are super efficient. Oh, poor guys.
If they are alive, of course, man. That's
like
sick,
that's what you call an overkill.
Beautiful. Just 3 cav archers down, more to happen, and now we see the beloved heavy demolition ships.
Oh, that could be amazing against that many halberdiers.
And now the SLs, man. Get them SLs, yes. Some very expensive deaths.
Yeah, this is actually a very good kill by TaToH. He has a bunch of paladins flanking to the left side. He wants to snipe a few villagers with it potentially. We'll see. Adding a multiple town centers over here.
Yeah, it's looking really good for both players. They're doing their thing. Score tells that Yo's doing better here. His KD is better, okay, but he's certainly slower. TaToH definitely profits from the fact that he has the Huns and that concern, but he doesn't make use of it yet. Instead, Yo is given the time, takes over the hill, slow but steady.
Yeah, Yo is gonna start the siege push very soon. He's just flooding everything with halberdiers and opening up the way for the siege to arrive. But there is the answer from TaToH. He is adding a lot of demo ships. And those demo ships could destroy that army in a second.
Yeah, if they just go in there at the right time, if they're not being hindered, if they're not being killed beforehand, and there we go. Oh my god, man. So many demolition ships, man. Go in. Oh. Yes! Oh my.
Oh, goodness. Absolute brutality. Look at that army go down. Look at that army go down. There's the halberdiers coming up. I wonder if it's gonna be an answer from Mr. Yo going for his own demos. As the boyar chain is arriving left side. We got most of the paladins cleaned up, but the halberdiers also get destroyed. Cav archers against rams. Now that's something that you rarely see.
Yeah, it's not ideal, it's not healthy, but the cav archers, of course, extremely important to deal with the halberdiers, with the parting tactics. It's just the beauty. But
yeah, parting tactics is an amazing upgrade. Oh, there's more demos coming.
It's an awful game by Yo just to...
Yeah, Yo is losing a lot of units. He's starting to run out of wood and gold. He still has a lot of food, but wood might be an issue.
Going for boyars now, but I feel that now their use are kind of obsolete, but we'll see how successful they're going to be. I like to see boyars in the early game just to make sure that you have a strong mobile unit yourself that is going for melee attacks. But fair enough, still kind of death ball that we see consisting of SO, Scorpions, a reason for TaToH to back off, a reason for him to lose his first castle on the right hand side. Left hand side, his castle is still up. We see the paladins being actually annihilated a long time ago. Probably they were facing a lot of halberdiers.
Yeah, that was a blob of halberdiers. Mr. Yo preparing a push on the left side with a few boyars. He could run inside very easily. And it looks like right side is lost by TaToH. I'm starting to feel like it could be in the hands of Mr. Yo. He's running out of resources, but he's gaining a lot of significant map control. I feel like the heavy cav archer build of the Huns is something that the siege rams are very good against. So at this point, these siege rams is something that TaToH cannot really deal with.
The game is really fast. I feel that both pairs are currently suffering from it because they're both just losing a lot of units. I just saw traps going down and stuff.
Imagine the amount of lag these players are having, by the way.
Yeah, man. Exactly, man. Imagine the amount of lag here. Oh. Okay, so currently the SOs are quite successful. The push of Yo is not being stopped at this point. It's not good for TaToH, of course. He is best advised to actually win this game. Just saying, man. The 3-2 situation feels way better than the 4-1 situation in the best of 9. So that's going to be better for him. Demolition ships once again successful, taking down expensive SOs.
Yeah, those SOs are going down. And look at the wood count for Mr. Yo. He might run out of it. He's catching up in villager count. Remember that in the long run, Slav's eco is going to be something better.
Oh yeah. Tarkans, man. Now we're seeing elite Tarkans. Quite a tanky unit when it comes to the Pierce armor.
Yeah, Tarkin Pierce armor is amazingly good. But what are they going to do against those Druzhina hubs? That's the question.
That's
left side, I feel like TaToH is gonna lose that castle to the trap push. Oh, the boyars are moving in.
Yeah, I'm very curious about the interview later on to see what TaToH's thinking and what Yo is thinking about this very game exactly. Because the lag might be an issue because we see a lot of sloppy mistakes. We see how Yo is still pushing. Just doesn't give up.
Yeah, he's just pushing with the rams, but he doesn't have any support for it. So all those rams going on the drain is a little bit of waste to me because Yo is out of wood now. He is officially out of wood.
That's crazy.
I feel like he wasted a lot of units. If he had some supporting cast for those rams, that could have been amazing.
Oh, there we go. A lot of demolition ships once again, and they're fighting their target, which is the traps most importantly at this point.
Yeah, it's an amazing kill death ratio, by the way, for TaToH. So the difference you see in the resources kind of accounts for the fact that TaToH has basically doubled the kills his deaths.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Population-wise, also 166 versus 112 feels way better for TaToH right now. He has lost quite some essential spots in front of his base, but still has the better economy. And yeah, like you've said it, very important. The wood issue for Yo. He's now getting some wood, but that has hurt him. For at least a minute or so, he was not able to properly reinforce there.
Yeah, he's forced to fight cav archers with boyars, but I'm not a major fan of that. Boyars aren't that great against archers. Their pierce armor is kind of bad. Their melee armor is amazing, but not the pierce armor.
I mean, I certainly don't like the Boyars at all as a unit itself in this game, because a lot of things can be done by the Nightlight as well. But of course, they have the melee armor, they have the attack. That is what makes them so special. But you're right, at this point they feel out of place here. The Cav Archers now on the right hand side, by the way, taking a couple of shots, but still going inside. It is very important, as I said, for TaToH to go in, because the Slavs eco might be very bad, but it's very good to see that TaToH being pot capped, whereas Yo is sitting on 130 population.
Yeah, but look at the left side now. Left side might be falling very soon. And the middle is also in the hands of Mr. Yo right now, trapping down the TCs. So even though he is getting a weaker eco, he's the one who's pushing right now. And remember that Slav farms is Slav farms. So ultimately, the lack of villagers might not necessarily translate into significant difference in ecos. Also, Yo is stockpiling with more and more villagers, something that TaToH is now not doing.
So it's insane. It's quite of a hardcore move by both of the players.
And the Boyars are doing the work.
Yeah,
Boyars are cleaning up left side. And look at that. I feel like TaToH is gonna be knocked out of this game. He just doesn't have enough forces to push with. Might have been a overboom as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I understand your point there, but ever since I saw Hera on Deathmatch with 160 villagers, I became quite self-aware and careful with the word overboom.
And that's what you call an overboom. But realistically speaking, about 1 minute ago, TaToH was pop-capped with 130 villagers, and he still has a lot of resources, yet he's getting pushed back by lesser number of units. I feel like Mr. Yo, even though he lost way more units, he did a better job amassing army from the resources he was given at the start.
Exactly, his efficiency was just more on fleek, and this is why he is in this very situation where he's somewhat
I wouldn't call it super efficiency, because in fact he lost a lot of units to the demos of TaToH.
Okay, that's true as well.
Yeah, his speed to amass an army was amazing.
Yeah, despite that, he was just able to still maintain his position. On the right-hand side, a little...
Oh, look at TaToH on the left, though. TaToH is popping out paladins, that's very smart of him. On a sneaky sneak.
Yeah, on the left. He's trying to flank the situation, but he's going to face a lot of TCs, a lot of castles. The game is not decided yet. That is the beauty of it.
Yeah, but look at the villager counts now. It is completely even, as the right side raid is amazing from Mr. Yo. Problem is that, basically you need the Cav Archers to deal with those Boyars. So, in fact, I am actually a decent fan of the Boyar approach from a Slav player here. The thing is that to deal with the Boyars, you will need the Cav Archers. But how do you deal with the Rams if you go for Cav Archer build? So, yeah, TaToH tried to go for Paladins, TaToH tried to go for Halberdiers, but now TaToH is the one who's running out of food. And I am starting to feel like Yo is gonna have this. Boyars are just chewing up all those Paladins. Like,
I'm just waiting for something to happen, because once again the food and wood count for Yo is very low, and once he loses his army, I feel that TaToH might have his chance here. He also is sitting on 4k gold, so is Yo on 3k, but I think if there's a momentum, TaToH could use that and push him through.
Yeah, but look at the map control right now, look at the villager counts. Left side is gonna get cleaned up by the Boyars. So the thing is that Cav Archers cannot stop the siege rams. Paladins could, but Boyars will just eat them up. And if you're going Halberdiers as Hans, that's not as super efficient as the Družina Halbs of Mr. Yo would be. So overall, I'm a major fan of this one from Yo. He's gonna clean up the left side, and that's gonna relieve quite a lot of cavalry from him, and he's just gonna run in with the Boyars against, try to snipe as many villagers as he can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, TaToH is in a situation where he is actually forced to micro it more when it comes to Cav Archers. And in a laggy situation like that, I feel that that might be an advantage for the melee player, who doesn't need to micro as much in comparison. So I get your point there. It's definitely problematic. The score also now in favor for Yo, interestingly. And yeah, TaToH is losing ground. And it's Slavs versus Huns. I always favor Huns at the beginning, but the mid-late game, I see the Slavs shine here, because, yes, as we see...
The reason why Slavs is actually super fancy in my point of view is the resource gathering efficiency. In that match, when you have this many resources to work with, you are trying to get yourself to 200 population all the time. And when your villagers are more efficient in gathering resources, you can achieve the same amount of eco-efficiency with less villagers, allowing you for more military population.
That's true. That's true. Even though I'm still not so convinced by Yo's economy too much, because dangerously low at some point with his count, but he's also investing.
Yeah,
That's
but
good.
you could also say that it's not low because it's a bad eco. It's actually might even be better than the one that TaToH is having right now, even though TaToH is killing a lot of units with those demos. So Yo's micro is not super amazing, but Yo is just flooding him with units. That's the difference. TaToH is still sitting on a lot of resources. He's just not converting the resources he has in the bank into military units. That's the problem.
That's a huge issue for sure, because he's losing more and more ground. On the right hand side, it looks really brutal.
Yeah, it's looking brutal overall. Like, middle is getting pushed, Yo is just gaining more ground. You know, I feel like Yo is having this.
Insane. Who would have thought this, that he would beat TaToH on deathmatch? But yeah, it's happening. As a matter of fact, it's soon about to happen, because I don't think that TaToH is going to hold on for too long.
Yeah, the boyars will just eat up everything. TaToH doesn't even have enough military production to do this. Like, look at that. It's 6 archer ranges and a few more barracks, but that's it. Meanwhile, Mr. is just flooding it with everything.
That's absolutely awful situation, because then the score is 4-1, as I said, and that would mean what? Is it match point game the next game then? Yeah, and the best of 9? Problematic, man.
Yeah, and look at that get out of my game type of a castle.
It's inevitable at this point, unless of course TaToH has a master plan, which is not really happening in my opinion. That's not gonna happen, man.
Yeah, there is no chance that TaToH brings this back. The idea for him was good, but Slavs are just so good, and Yo did the perfect thing. He combined boyars and siege rams, and siege rams just absorb all the arrow fire. Boyars will just eat up everything. So yeah, in terms of melee combat, I consider boyars an underrated unit, if you take a look at there. They get a great damage output,
sick, for sure.
super great armor and health, so if you're just talking about sheer melee combat, they're actually quite good, especially if you can get the production up. The biggest issue is the lack of production you can get, because... Oh, meanwhile, right side. TaToH is one final desperate push.
With the cav archers that are now getting a lot of shots.
Oh no!
One by one, yeah.
No.
If he just realizes this, if he sees this, he might just say, okay, you know what, let's call it. I mean, I don't think that he's gonna call it just that easily, because he knows the next game will be even more of a tough situation. But it is really bad now. Man.
Yeah, like, really I don't see him winning this.
It's... I mean, at this point,
I don't see him winning this. It's not about the who, it's about the when type of scenario.
It's about the when. Indeed. It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean,
because now he's rapidly losing villagers. He has 0 map control. I wonder if he even has gold. No, he doesn't have gold, right?
Wonderful. I mean, he's still getting gold from somewhere. He makes what? He has 4 relics. That's the gold that he has, man.
Yeah, but that's it. And if we are actually translating into trash warfare, which would most likely indicate light cavs plus hobs, it's gonna be a clear advantage again for Slavs. They have the better farms, they have the Druzhina hobs.
Yeah.
There is no chance. And
That's
also, Mr. Yo still has basically all the gold that is remaining on the map under his control.
That's basically it. I mean, we now see how TaToH is now trying to reinforce with as much of the halberdiers that he can afford, which is plenty, but is it gonna win him the game? For sure not. Just holding on here. He's just trying his best.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Mr. Yo sending in the hobs one by one, by the way.
Yeah, that's just a waste. Like,
I mean, there is some cav archers left, but indeed, once TaToH runs out of gold, this is kind of over. He can't win a trash war in this type of a scenario, and I see champions. Mr. Yo is sending all his remaining resources into champions. Now, this is the blob that TaToH cannot survive.
That will be really tough, man. I mean, what does he want to do? I mean, he's now trying his best, of course, but I mean, at least the Rams are successful, but...
Yeah, Rams are successful, but it's gonna be hobs and light cavs against each other, and that should be clear advantage for the Slavs. Once the cav archers go down, this is GG for TaToH, and we got another castle on the right side. Look at the farming eco of TaToH going down. He's gonna get a castle in his face.
Man. It's just 30 military versus 80 here, so the numbers are currently in favor for TaToH, but I totally get your point.
It's better for TaToH, but
at this point,
we are getting to a point if you talk about the villager count now, it is going up to the eco. TaToH doesn't have enough food to produce military, he doesn't have gold. So it's again translating to the fact that you have a way better eco for Mr. Yo, and TaToH's gonna lose even more of his eco here on the right side. So yeah, the military numbers favor him, but it is gonna be a trash warfare which favors the Slavs. And like, it is just one train of military here in the middle for TaToH. That's it, but his base is getting destroyed in the meanwhile.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, he's been cornered at this point. He's been eaten up from the left and the right. Left is a bit of a raid. Right-hand side, we have the castles. And therefore, just a push in the middle of TaToH. That is actually not being stopped. This is the thing that I don't like by made by Yo here currently, the move of him. But it's still not gonna win TaToH the game here. Because at some point, he will lose his army. And if he does that, if it happens, he will not be able to reinforce. No food. He has plenty of wood, but the food is a real issue now. That is going to be really tough.
Yeah, and when the light cav arrive, light cav will be able to catch up with those cav archers. It's not super efficient for Mr. Yo. Overall, he wasn't very efficient this game, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, especially in the beginning, it was tough. But I still found it quite remarkable how he was still able to push whites crazily towards the middle, despite having lost that many units that easily. I don't know how much that relates to what TaToH has done his performance, but as a matter of fact, still, TaToH is about to die over here, just trying to clean up the mess inside of his base to the left-hand side, but the common plan seems to be quite obscure here, because Yo has his Hussars, he has his Halberdiers, SOs, everything's ready for a final march towards the middle, it seems, and the raid in the middle, let's not forget about this one.
Yeah, it's
gloomy times, man.
More and more light cavs. There was a question, by the way, right side indeed. TaToH's farms are being taken by Mr. Yo's villagers. But yeah, the question was that is there any way that TaToH can come back to this? I think the only way that happens is if Mr. Yo runs out of gold completely. Because TaToH still has 4 relics, so he's gonna have a slight advantage in gold.
And there's only 2k gold left on the map for the record.
And that's one central pile of gold, by the way.
Yeah.
And if TaToH can still keep his army of cav archers. If these cav archers go down, it's over. It's all about the fact that TaToH, if he can hold his cav archers and snipe down the halberdiers from Yo, this could still work.
That's his idea. That's the reason why he's not moving forward anymore. He's just waiting for Yo to come. He's just waiting for him to bleed out, and then probably he's gonna come back like that. I mean, that is the idea. But you said it. If he loses his army, it's over then. So let's see. Engagement on the left-hand side.
I'm not a major fan of the composition for Mr. Yo, by the way. Overrunning with halberdiers. It's just so many cav archers. So I wonder if he wants to go... Yeah, that's a very good point. Yo is close to TaToH's relics, but... Well, TaToH is still holding this. So it's just a few halberdiers. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. TaToH has a weaker eco. But he still has the cav archers, which is possibly the best unit right now on the map, as we translate into the trash warfare.
Yeah, because they deal a lot of damage.
Yeah, they just eat up all the halberdiers.
Yeah, it's problematic. It's problematic. That's why I said I don't like what Yo did so far in the later part of the game. It's just strange, very strange. At least Yo has more military numbers now, once again, something that is good for him.
There is the siege ranger. He needs to snipe down. If he kills the cav archers, it's over.
He's attacking the siege ranger, interesting.
Yeah, he just literally 2 shots from a siege ranger and it is over.
Yeah.
Halves against halves, Hans will never win against Slavs. But if you have these cav archers, it can just enough, or it can be just enough to open up the way for the Rams. Kill those cav archers at all costs. That's the thing.
Yeah, man. I mean, the halberdiers are now in.
Oh, look at the push. This is why Yo was not very active in the middle. Now he's pushing everything he has on the middle. Druzhina hubs from all sides.
Hubs, they will make it. I mean, look at this, man. Look at how the blue
and it is also about the fact that archers can't kill this many hubs, and all Yo's hubs need to do. Oh, this is gonna be glorious with the SOs.
Yeah, man, but we see the demolition ships here all of a sudden as well, once again as a reliever. But yeah, going for the SO, important. 600 gold.
You just need to open up way for those siege rams. If they don't have enough halberdiers to kill those guys, cav archers can't deal with them. And look at the commitment from Yo. He's focusing everything on the TC. I'm not sure if that's the right idea.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It's a severe mistake currently happening, and this is going according to TaToH's plan at least. But,
he needs to deal with these cav archers, no matter what. But he has suicided so many forces that it is just painful to watch.
Man.
Boyars again.
They are the problem now, so a lot of halberdiers are needed, which are now going to the left-hand side to address the problem.
Yeah,
but
it's the only final, like, it's the final push from Mr. Yo. Look at the amount of gold that is left on the map. Yo invested all his resources into these boyars. These boyars are gonna clean this TC up eventually, but he still hasn't answered the question how he's gonna deal with those cav archers.
Currently, he's now trying to go in with brute force. At least it seemed like it. What are the Hussars doing, man?
Yeah, Trap brute force will work in this case. They have a better eco. They have the better halberdiers if you're just comparing hobs to hobs. Oh, the flank. The flank from the hobs might decide it.
Oh my god, man.
That's
problems.
That's a lot of cav archers going down, exactly what Yo needs. There's still some boyars remaining. And now the Rams are pushing in the middle again. I'm starting to feel like Yo is in control of this game. But same as previously, this goes very, very hard in the last moments. So
it's quite heavy.
It's like he dominates the first half of the match, and after that, TaToH tries to find a way to come back, and almost does.
We had the situation in several games now, where it becomes too much of a passive one and whatnot, giving TaToH a lot of hope, a lot of possibility. And once again, we're in a situation like this, but you've mentioned it, the amount of cav archers, not too high anymore, 18 in total.
And look at the HP as well.
Yeah, it's
very low HP cav archers.
Being fragile here, even though he's known for keeping his range alive here. But maybe not in this game, not in the fast-paced game here, where you have a lot of lag, a lot of possible sloppy plays here. And Yo is just playing his game now, pushing from the right.
Yeah, that's a very good push. He needs to deny TaToH's monastery. I think that's the focus.
Yeah.
TaToH is raiding on the left side, but he's not doing enough damage. And there's the champions on the left. Oh, look at the amount of champions. How does Yo have that much gold? I think he's selling something. Maybe he's selling stone.
Maybe he did that. I mean, currently...
Like, Wish Capture Age had a market balance indicator. That would be nice to see. Although, those champions... Oh, on the left... Again, cav archers might go down to the Regina champs.
Yeah,
slight misplay by TaToH, but slowly he's getting overrun. That's the problem.
If you want to see the market balance, by the way, you just have to click on the resources on top of the minimap, where you have the resources.
Thanks for that. So, selling it, yeah, he has to sell stone to get efficient amount of gold. Because wood and food is basically selling for none. It's not worth selling, I think, at this point. But TaToH is running out of every resource he can get. I think that's the final nail in the coffin. There is no more for TaToH.
There we go. The cav archers are going down, and therefore, not only because of this, but also the little attempt of TaToH to raid from the left-hand side, just with a couple of halberdiers. And yeah, all of this not sufficient enough. The push of Yo inevitable. TaToH has had his chances once again. Something to point out when it comes to Yo's late-game execution, which is not ideal, at least from a viewer's perspective, but still, it was enough. It was enough for a 4-1 situation, the best of 9. This is the grand final of MSC here, $10,800 tournament. A lot of money here.
Who's right?
Oh, there we go. Indeed. What a surprise. There we are. Maybe I should update the score as well, because it's now 4-1.
Yep. And
here we are, guys. It's me, Demise Brett, and I'm being joined by LidaKor. It's match point game for Yo in the best of 9. He has the Portuguese on the right-hand side in the red color, on the left-hand side Vikings, blue color TaToH, and it is on Bog Islands.
Yep.
Here we go, man. Here we go.
So, what are saves? Portuguese versus Vikings. I have a feeling that you favor Vikings a tiny bit more in this matchup.
Yeah, good one, good one. I mean, it all depends on maneuvering. With Portuguese, I always think about maneuvering because of the caravels. If you go for caravels, you have the advantage, of course, that you can go for choke points, and it adds up quite heavily. And something something that is not good for Vikings is, well, what is their issue? The thing is that they can only go for galleys, right? And then, of course, longboats. But that's it, right?
Yeah, that's a significant problem. They can't go for fire galleys. On the other side, if they get to longbows quite fast, then it is going to be something that the Portuguese will have a very hard time dealing with, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this will be really tough. If you just allow your opponents to go there, tough, and especially with the rush distance, this is the most ideal situation for a Vikings player. You are very far away from your opponents on the very left-hand side versus the very right-hand side. Yeah, it will be tough because the Vikings player has the time, has the safety potentially to go for whatever strat he wants to go for. In this case, maybe a fast castle into longboats. That would make sense. Not engage on water before that, which would be too passive once again, but we'll see. The decisions are very important. Portuguese, though, I may think that the caravels will be extremely important because I always think that the way to deal with caravels is when the opponent tries to skip the castle age as soon as possible, go for imperial age, go for fast fire ships. But Vikings, yeah, that's the issue here.
Yeah, looking at the maps, we got double forward goals for TaToH. That's never a good or a good thing to have.
Yeah.
On the other side, not so great map either for TaToH. My biggest problem right now is that all his minerals are kind of contested. So I don't think that the fast castle could work super efficiently over here.
Yeah, I also don't think so. I mean, if he really wants to, you know, wherever there's a will, you know, he can just try to wall up, but it will be dirty, it could be even foolish. Just a scout war on the right-hand side, let's see. Because I believe that they want to just end it here. And it seems that Yo is going to have the upper hand. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, Yo is the one who's having the upper hand. It's very close, but just by a frame, Yo is going to win this.
Exactly. Just a couple of frames, if at all. And that's it. That's not good at all. TaToH now legit in the dark. Doesn't even know the position of
Can you see what he has scouted? That's a big problem for him. He has zero idea of what's happening with Mr. Yo. That's a major problem. Meanwhile, Mr. Yo can keep his scout, and he also already had a good scouting on what TaToH had. So this is slight advantage again for Mr. Yo, who's playing great today. So really, it's just an amazing moves what he does, especially early game. He's so dominant early game, kind of has a sloppiness in late game, I would say.
Exactly.
Always leaves or always just lets the lead get out of his grasp and then slowly climbs back to it. But if you're talking about early game, he is just doing amazing.
Exactly. So something I like to mention here, we saw how the Scout War ended. Just before the Scout War, we saw how Yo's Scout was actually able to delay the dog of TaToH for a tiny bit. Fair enough. Still, TaToH went up with the dog earlier, so he officially has the fishing boat advantage, as we can observe. But his fish is absolutely terrible, man.
Yeah, that is a horrible fish. Super far away.
And in between those wood lines hindering. I mean, it's somewhat comparable to Yo's situation. His fish is also not too good, but at least a bit better, tiny bit better. It's more straightforward, but also not ideal, man. Really not good,
it's not ideal at all for either side. Feudal age times are kind of identical, but there's a slight lead for TaToH in terms of fishing ship count.
Yeah, man, it's quite 14 seconds. Interesting, very interesting. That's quite unfortunate because they have the same villager count, fishing boat count is now equal. It's surprising and well, good for TaToH. I hope. I mean, I'm biased here now. I want TaToH to win this one because I want to see more games. That's just my point of view here. No fanboyism, just saying. But yeah, both are telling us basically with their build orders that they are engaged in more than just fast castles. No, it's gonna be the early game. Second dock being added by TaToH already, and for Yo we can say the same thing. Really aggressive position there on the right hand side. Therefore, I think this is going to be interesting to observe because TaToH will then he needs to go in with galleys, right? So a lot of micro is going to be required.
Yeah, that requires a lot of micro. On the other side, they can be better for raiding purposes. If he can get to the villagers, galleys can be much more efficient. But I have a feeling that if we are just talking about sheer water combat, we have a pause, right?
I don't currently, but I'm also living in the past. My entire life, I always feel no jokes. No, for real, it's not paused.
Yeah, it's working now. It was like a
All good, man.
tiny bit possible lagging between the players as well.
It's good.
Uh,
All good.
yeah, that's a good question. Yo lost a villager. That's what even is pointing out to us, because Yo still has his scout, and he has won that unit.
Oh, true, true. We are so stupid.
I completely didn't even see that happen.
We probably underestimate one rhino there.
Yeah,
okay,
possibly
might also
one of the
explain
rhinos.
Uptime, by the way. Yeah. Okay.
Rhinos got a revenge. That has to be a thing. There was a commodity dragon on the wood line, but that was slain by 2 villagers. But I think it had to be the rhinos. Possibly the fact that you have multiple rhinos to start off with, as Yo is going for a tower's gap.
Oh my god, man. The Liberty Tower. Once again, just a single villager.
Again, early game advantage on Yo, and remember that fire galleys, and looks like Yo is going for galleys himself.
Interesting. He just wants to join the game with galleys, but triple dock, by the way. We just have a double dock for TaToH and Stonewalls, for the record. Interesting. I want to play the safe game. Fair enough. But that is quite exciting that Yo is joining the game with his own set of galleys here.
So yeah, I believe if you're talking about the villager lost for Yo, you have multiple boars to lure in, so there is a high chance that the boar might spot a villager that is low HP. And
yeah, especially here, it's not boars per se, but the rhinos. And the rhinos are known to be way more dangerous because of speed and damage output, I believe. And players are best advised, something that they've learned in ECL, by the way. In the beginning, they have always lost it, to get Loom as soon as possible. Otherwise, it's going to be risky.
yeah, to answer the hand, no, it's rhinos we're talking about. Yeah, they have water buffaloes, but they are just the standard herdables. But you got some rhinos to start off with that has already been eaten. So it's
Yes,
rhinos
sir.
indeed, not water buffaloes.
All
Water
good.
buffaloes are friendly little creatures.
Yeah, man. Not so friendly, the military output here for Yo. A lot of galleys lined up here from 3 docks. So he's gonna increase his numbers very soon. And with that one, he would, of course, win the water if we have an engagement. And there we go, the first engagement happening. TaToH now trying to harass the water of his opponent. But
Yeah, but
he's
look at the
scared.
galley counts, now
Yeah,
that I see that.
yeah, it's
7 to
sick, man.
5, and it's just a better output for Mr. Yo. If he can capitalize on it, then that can be significant. And one thing to talk about, look at the health. 10% extra health for the Portuguese player on those galleys.
Yeah,
That is
exactly.
going to favor Mr. Yo as well. He has the numbers advantage, he has the health point advantage. So that is a significant thing for Mr. Yo. He also has good map control, so he should have safe wood and gold at the back of his base as well as stone. As he goes for a fletching, I have a feeling that TaToH might be in trouble again early game.
Exactly, you're 100% correct, and that is fueled by the fact that he lost his fishing boats, and that was very successful. TaToH has been caught off guard as he was moving to the right-hand side. He's about to do what you've mentioned in the beginning, the possible raid that you can go for with the galleys, right? This is why it's so attractive to have these units, because they can go for wood lines or exposed minerals, and indeed, this is TaToH's intention, but he has sacrificed his fishing boats for that very cause. And now we are on the water, 7 to 10 galleys here, Yo with the advantage. This will be extremely tough for TaToH.
Yeah, it's like larger numbers for Mr. Yo, and he also has the upper hand in terms of health. So, in fact, 10 galleys for Mr. Yo means basically 11 for TaToH, if you count the extra health.
Yeah, you're right. The extra HP. And that is it. And also on top of this one, both pairs will probably not engage in a big war within the next 1 or 2 minutes, even though Yo is now going forward, because they want to click up, but Yo doesn't. He's just now has spent his resources. He has a lot of gold, by the way.
TaToH is closer to clicking up, which could mean a power spike to him with war galleys.
If he gets there.
Yeah, if he gets there, because there is a lot of pressure coming his way now. He might even lose that dock, to be honest. There is so much firepower packed in those galleys.
It could be. You're absolutely correct. That is definitely possible. So the issue now is, of course, how to survive until that long and still have a solid economy. The answer is, of course, Stonewalls for now, and this is what TaToH has. He's somewhat secured. Adding more docks inside of his base. This will be the longboat action, but we'll see, man. Longboats, caravels.
Yeah, but do you know what you need for longboats? Docks. You need
Yeah, he's
docks for
building.
it. And TaToH is forced to add another dock at the back of his base. His wood lines might be problematic later on. For now, he's fine, but again, he's gonna get cornered to a small portion of the map as... Well, Yo is gonna have a decent uptime as well into castle. He's gonna have the Portuguese war galleys, which will have a great combat value. Meanwhile, TaToH is doing a beautiful job sniping down the fishing ships from Yo. That's a significant thing.
Yeah, man, I'm just thinking if we see the caravels, it might be really, really tough here. Because I'm quite scared. As the Vikings against caravels, it doesn't feel right, man. It doesn't feel right. I don't like the big situation here. It might be that Yo will have a decent game here once again, if he, of course, executes it the way it must be done. Of course, I'm cheering for TaToH for the sake of seeing more games, but it will be a challenge.
Yeah, one thing that Yo needs to watch out for is the overchop on his wood line. He's gonna avoid it, but still there is a lumber camp, so he needs to watch out not to overchop that one. Because there is some galleys lurking around for there.
Yeah,
And it is
by.
gonna be TaToH going straight up to longboats. Yeah, there you go. There's longboats coming up, and Yo is just signaling the retreat for now, but the war galleys will return.
Yeah, for sure. He must go for that upgrade with that many galleys on the pitch. So just curious when we'll see more units, different units. But yeah, indeed, war galley now, Bodkin arrow, and yeah, that's it. For now, though, TaToH is not going for any kind of raid. He's just trying to get a little bit of attention, trying to scout the situation, trying to make sure, trying to spot a couple of potential sweet spots, that is, but so far not successful. It's just Yo in the middle of the base, in the middle of the map, and about to have a huge momentum. War galley now, it's time to strike.
Yeah, it's second town center coming out for TaToH. Let's not forget about that one. He's also Vikings. He is supposed to have the better eco.
Yeah, true.
With double town centers, he could easily get ahead of Mr. Yo in economy, as Yo is forced to run away from that wood line.
Yeah, there we go. At least that was successful. I see even one or two villagers, one villager dead. Great. But yeah, you said it, man. Very dangerous situation with the Vikings economy. Free wheelbarrow, free handcarts. Just sick, just beautiful. So we'll see where this is going to go, because Yo still needs to be aggressive here. Because you're right. I mean, if you just got multiple TCs, you said 2 for now, it's nothing to underestimate. It can become crazy, but so is the number of war galleys. For now, we're talking about 21, and indeed the caravels are being added to the cause as well. We're facing 8 galleys and 7 longboats, at least at this point.
Yeah, but it is gonna be university start with Mr. Yo. This is why he's not adding his second town center. Now he's starting to mine stones, so TC number 2 should arrive there as well soon. But indeed, when this blob of war galleys hit, it is gonna be quite tough for TaToH to handle. So he's right now again on the defensive.
Yeah, TaToH is going for imp, by the way. I cannot explain these resources otherwise. I mean, what is it doing?
Yeah, it's an imp. It's an imp, but he is, yeah, he's making a monastery for that, but he already has university, so it is gonna be an imp click up by TaToH. That could be a good power spike for him, actually.
Yeah, it would be quite unexpected, and it's not like he has the weakest economy in the background. He has a stronger one than Yo, significantly stronger. But speaking of the Chinese player, he is now about to find an entrance here. At least, not finding it, but he's creating one to the left-hand side. This
Yeah,
might
but
be...
what is he gonna achieve with that hole? That's the
the
thing.
woodline is saving quite something on the left-hand side, by the way. It's not going to go through there. You're right, it's not going to be too much of a useful thing.
Yeah, he can't reach the eco of TaToH, and TaToH is gonna be fine. He's starting to believe that this game could go into the hands of TaToH. Once he gets up to Imperial, he's gonna have elite longboats with ballistics. He's gonna have a great eco. He already has the handcar because of the Viking bonus. Even Yo is missing wheelbarrows, so TaToH with a 10 villager lead, and he also has handcar.
Yeah,
So
it's looking healthy, man. It's looking healthy.
That's a very, very significant difference. All Yo can hope for is try to disrupt the production of TaToH over here, but I'm not sure if he has the power to do that.
Yeah, the only thing he can do now is maybe harass 1 or 2 farms, get the docks down. That is important, at least. But besides that, not too much. And now we even see the longbows engaging. Interesting, man.
Yeah, there is not a lot of places to run for Mr. Yo, so he will have to fight this, but I am not a major fan of seeing the longboats engage before getting the Imperial Age upgrades. Wait! Did TaToH cancel it and click up again, or did he just click up now?
He just clicked up now.
Okay, I was scared for a second because we were talking about clicking up like 3 minutes ago, and I was in the belief that he's almost up to him.
No,
and I see that
he hasn't clicked up before.
Okay, I was scared for a second.
I just saw that he had 500 resources of each, and I thought, okay, this must be him. I mean, because he was so passive, not even producing too many longboats anymore and whatnot. So, yeah, that's why.
Yeah, but Mr. Yo is adding TC number 3. He could catch up with TaToH over here. Because TaToH is going to be able to produce villagers on 1 town center. Meanwhile, Yo is going to do that on 3. So he could catch up in real count. And he still has a formidable force over here. Meanwhile, TaToH is having housing issues. If he loses this house, it could still get worse.
Nice snipes by the longboats, by the way.
Yeah, that's beautiful longbow play.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful longboats play.
But we have the caravels. And you're right. Power Spike, Imperial Age, and this, I believe, the only chance that TaToH has, realistically speaking, because he must be in Imperial Age earlier, definitely earlier, significantly earlier, to make sure that elite caravels or anything like that will not have a huge role in this kind of game, at least for now. TaToH needs to go for mass destruction once he hits Imperial Age. At least this is how I view these things, because the caravels will become problematic.
Yeah, caravels will try to engage now, but I feel like Yo held them back for quite a time. Now he's moving in with the caravels. Split up by TaToH, but again, TaToH is forced to fight with the Castle Age unit, so this is a great engagement for Mr. Yo, buying himself some time. What I'm thinking is the Rams approach from TaToH could work. They're just so good at absorbing arrow fire from the war galleys.
Yeah. Good one. That's definitely something he could make use of. At least to pair it with the elite longboats. Yo, by the way, is going for guard towers. I think that he's going to try to protect himself because he's now afraid that something is going to happen very soon.
Yeah, he's adding defensive towers.
Yeah, that's important because now it's also the time of spreading out, as in drop additional TCs on the left and the right for both players. And for now, only TaToH is doing that. Yo is actually still sitting on his base. It's fair enough. He's losing nearly all of his galleys there. He lost all of his galleys, by the way. Now it's just about the caravels. But yeah, once we have the elite longboats, which we have now, with Bracer, they will have quite a damage output against the caravels.
Yeah, and the way is open inside Yo's base, let's not forget that. So there is a space where those longboats can casually sail inside and do some significant damage. And now it is good for TaToH, because he's engaging Castle Age units with Imperial Age up ones, so that is something that Yo can actually fight. He's waiting until he can click up, but it's gonna take forever for him. Yeah. And meanwhile, TaToH is snagging relics for himself. He already has 2.
Yeah, man.
And he could get basically all of them, to be honest.
I think the game would have been differently for now if Yo didn't get wheelbarrow with 66 villagers, but I know, 50, 45. It was extremely late. It took him so much now. Imperial Age is now gonna happen in 1 minute or 2, and that is still sometimes some window of opportunity that TaToH has in order to just go in, deal a lot of damage, and also spread out. And this is what he does to the north. To the south, we see just longboats clearing up a couple of caravels, which is important. Try to keep those caravel numbers low as possible. We're talking about 28 longboats now versus 14 caravels. With those numbers, of course, still the longboats will have a great opportunity. But yeah, Viola asks, how are caravels versus longboats en masse? Not sure I've seen that before. Caravels kills all. Yeah, that is at least the equation here. And that's true indeed. A reason why TaToH's best advice to be in a faster Imperial Age situation that he is in now, dropping the castle to the north, by the way. He's playing a solid game, at least in this one here. More to happen very soon.
Yeah, but I feel like TaToH, TaToH's having a transport ship.
I just legit zoomed into it now. What is this? It's a misclick, right?
It's not a super horrible idea.
Yeah, it's not a horrible idea, but it's...
Does he have any siege workshops at the back home? What I could think of is, if he has a back siege workshop, he could actually transport units to the front line faster. That's a very awkward way of doing it, by the way. So I wouldn't say it's a super smart, but I don't see any other explanation of why you make a transport. Aside from the fact that it has a great pierce armor.
Yeah, 8 pierce armor, man.
It has
That's
8
beautiful.
pierce armor, so it could be kind of a decent
mobile-
thing to absorb
mobile
arrow fire.
ram, right? A tanky meat shield.
Yeah, but again, problem is that TaToH can't really do significant damage on Yo's eco. Yo is up to him, he's gonna get bracer and chemistry. He's having
And a
the
castle.
yeah, there is a defensive castle coming up, and Yo is gonna have the extra health from the Portuguese as well. Problem for Yo is that TaToH is at 3 relics now. Could get the 4th one from the corner if he wanted to. And now Yo is on the defensive. He's gonna have to break out of this one, because TaToH has full map control.
Yeah, indeed. It's looking quite healthy for
He's
it.
waiting
If we
for
just-
Elite Caravel, but he won't have that much time, I think. He's gonna
it's
have to
just,
engage this very soon.
Yeah, there we have the next engagement very soon, I think, because TaToH's now coming so close. It's just provoking Yo to engage here. Yo, in the meantime, just goes for Elite Caravel, but then it's going to be his time. We're talking about 41 Elite Longboats versus 20 Elite Caravels. That's still in favor for TaToH, of course. But for that one, he still needs to stay somewhat together, and he must not engage with Yo in a choke point situation where Yo exactly is at this point very dangerous. TaToH needs to back off actually, or just strike with precision, and he's doing it. We have the engagement now. It seems that the numbers are deciding that TaToH still trading somewhat better. If the longboats to the north could engage as well, problematic. I think this could have been better for TaToH, but he hasn't activated all of his longboats at the same time.
He's still fine. He's still fine. Castle is denied on the south from TaToH, but TaToH is now pushing in with the rams. He's going cap ram.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need to be super aggressive because he's right now cornering Mr. Yo. And Mr. Yo doesn't have siege to counter those castles. That's the problem. Now Yo is adding some siege himself. But again, he cannot deal with the left-hand side castle right now. Not even a single trap coming his way.
There's just one trap now coming, but I'm not so confident that it's going to work for you on the left-hand side. The right-hand side might be more promising, but we have the aggressive elite longboat approach here. And as I said, the cap rams, they might work a charm, but the placement of these siege brush-ups, well, should have been on the left-hand side. Or at least the rams should be on the left-hand side. Any of these things.
Yeah, TaToH
would
is
have
having
been
a
more helpful.
significant eco lead now. With the Vikings, that's even more significant. Now it is gonna be Mr. Yo counterattacking the left side. Problem is the right side is super weak now. There is some siege drums coming.
And this fight that TaToH's taking, he's just moving around. Oh, I understand. He does it on purpose.
Mr. Yo is going for bombard cannons. That's actually good for sniping down the rams that are arriving, but so many things happening on multiple fronts.
It's GG, man. This is
Yeah,
sick.
it's just so much longboats.
Yeah,
so much
Yo
longboats
just,
as Yo scores the GG. I feel like the biggest difference right now is that even if Yo pushes out, he's kind of cornered by castles, and just he doesn't have enough production to make siege and caravels at the same time. Meanwhile, TaToH is just all on the longboats build. As TaToH is taking a game here.
Yeah, nice map. We got the beautiful vision between the two, the physical division. We got the map here, the base of TaToH to the south with the Cels. To the left-hand side, we got the Yo with the Japanese. Curious to see if we have flame once again, especially from Yo. It might happen. But besides that, I think LidaKor, you would favor the Cels over here, right?
Not so much. Not against Japanese. It's a tricky scenario because it's all about the micromanagement of the players. Celts can be super good if you want to catch villagers, because these guys can't run away from you. Yeah. But if you're talking like a face-to-face combat, Japanese are definitely superior because of the attack bonus. So it's all about how you manage stuff. If you allow Japanese to get into close combat with your infantry, with your villagers, then it is gonna be Japanese all the way. But if you're just talking about the fact that Celts can possibly outnumber Japanese over here and catch up with the villagers, it is gonna be Celts' advantage. So it's all about how you approach it. In face-to-face combat, it is Japanese. And is Mr. Yo gonna lame?
Yeah, he's gonna lame. I'm just asking myself if TaToH's going to do the same thing because I just missed the boy. Even though that would have been nearly impossible, boy. But what's most important is that TaToH's now moving back because he knows that he will eventually meet up with the scout of Yo here. It's just a matter of time because he sees this from scouting information that the boy is close by. And there we go. Scouts meet up. Hello there. And it's time for the engagement. TaToH is trying to do his best. He could have a shot and actually get the scout, or definitely counter lane by just keeping the ball where it is. We'll see.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario. It's a tough scenario because TaToH is doing everything he can to keep his board. That would be a disaster for him to lose that board, but it seems like that's the case. Best thing indeed he can do is counter lane, but that is insanely hard to do because it is a back board for Yo.
It's a perfectly safe board then.
And
because,
correct me if I'm wrong, but this tournament doesn't have restarts.
Exactly, it never had, just admin res on Bog Forest especially.
So basically, laming is kind of encouraged over here in this setup. Meanwhile, the map is also very interesting. There's a very thin line of land in between the players.
Exactly. Perfect spot for barracks, by the way. Forward move, through up the barracks there, then proceed wherever you want to go for. Something we've seen quite a couple of times in this tournament, but it's going to depend on how aggressive they're going to play today. Yo has the clear advantage now. 3 boys instead of 2, and TaToH just with a single boy. It's tough, man. It's tough.
It's very, very tough. TaToH could be forced off the food, and that can be a significant issue. If you get forced off the food, you will get forced to make additional farms, which is gonna hurt your food eco. So it's not a good start for TaToH, and Yo is really doing everything he can to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, what TaToH has thought about now is adding a mill, and he's getting that those berries. And Yo just missed this. He's not aware of the fact that TaToH is actually getting this kind of food source. It's actually quite good for TaToH because if Yo anticipate this or just saw this, you could basically drop a tower between the berries and the stone. And deal a lot of
maybe
damage
he's gonna notice that. Scout is going back. I feel like he should. Because if you're thinking as Mr. Yo is doing, yeah, he's going back. He sees the barracks going up from TaToH. He's seeing the villager. So if you're thinking with Mr. Yo's head, you just lamed away a board from your opponent. So you know that he's gonna lack food.
Yeah. Exactly.
So he needs to get food from somewhere. You see the huntable was not being taken, so you kind of assume that your opponent is either farming, which would be kind of a suicide at this stage, or he is taking the berries. There's the forward barracks as well. Earlier barracks are up for Yo, and the problem is going to be that TaToH might need to engage those guys directly. So yeah, if Yo is the one who forces the fights on the hump, I think that's an advantage for him. The only way that TaToH is gonna get an advantage from this speed bonus of the cats is if he's the one who forces the fights and he can chase down villagers. But in this case, it is gonna be a direct engagement. It looks like Yo is quite ambitious with his wood line.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, it's quite crazy, man. He's now about to find out about a lot of things. He sees the barracks, he sees the houses. He knows about the gold now. He has scouted where TaToH's getting the gold. If you look at TaToH's perspective, he knows little. He knows little about Yo's position. He doesn't know about the situation with the lumber camp. He doesn't know about the existence of the gold on the left-hand side, by the way. Yo has all the opportunities to become really aggressive over here. Both are now going for men-at-arms. Yo has the clear advantage timing-wise.
That's a very, very tiny advantage, but again, let's not forget, the Japanese against Celts. It's a very thin balance, I would say. Celts have the chance to escape all the combat they want. On the other side, you have the Japanese that can win the combat they want. So it's all about TaToH can run, but what happens if key resources get threatened by the militias of Mr. Yo? Mr. Yo is not investing in more units, he's switching to archers.
Maybe the better choice. Before any back and forth happens, just go for the counter. Just go for archers and end this right away. Fair enough. So we'll see what a watchtower by. Okay, interesting position to secure gold. At least from the left-hand side, it's not the perfect tower, but it's on top of the hill. But we see more happening, and that is it. Pretty much what I've expected. Yo is going to drop a tower somewhere in that area to make sure that TaToH needs to back off here. So once again, a bit of damage has been dealt.
Yeah, and I love the way that Yo is using his low HP scout to try and get some hits on the villagers. It's not good for direct engagement, but if he can land a few cheap shots, then that definitely works out quite well, and the archer is gonna help quite a bit for Misteo, especially if he goes for fletching. It's gonna be perfect sniping down those men-at-arms from TaToH. Let's see if TaToH is not investing in anything else. He's making defensive tower to an interesting spot. I'm not a major fan of that. He's trying to cover both the gold and stone with it, but I have a feeling that what happens if two archers go right next to that mining camp, right?
Exactly, what do you want to do then? It's not going to be as helpful. We have a new engagement now on the left-hand side here, as you can see. Scout is down, that's beautiful. And besides that, TaToH is now just escaping. As you said, he has the speed advantage, and with that one he can just decide whenever he wants to go in or not. But besides that, we see TaToH adding... Oh no, I thought for a second that he's going to go for stone heavily. He still has 3 vills on stone. So I assume it's going to be more and more towers, but these could be just defensive towers. I'm not so sure what he does there, man. TaToH, man, what is he going to do with his resources?
Yeah, the stone is definitely interesting.
Because
I think he wants to take control over the hump, as we see demo rafts. Yeah, there is demo rafts in the making for Mr. TaToH. It's definitely interesting, but one good demo can decide a lot of things in this fight.
Yeah, but it must be hitting a correct spot, and the position of the... Yeah, it will be G-bait, I guess. I'm not so sure, but it will be G-bait, because this demo is now on the right-hand side, right? As if it will just wait for Yo to attack, so TaToH will retreat, and then boom. Or it will just... Yeah, it's legit like this. It's just waiting there. It's just waiting for something like this to happen. Okay. Fair enough. Tower's gonna go up.
Yeah, the tower is gonna be up. This is actually a good tower to cover the area. What I don't like about it is that it's gonna have to fight up hills. But so far, TaToH is doing a decent job out managing the forces of Misteo. He's using the speed advantage perfectly, trying to snipe a few villagers at the base of Yo, trying to bring the fight to him as he gets control over the hump for now.
Yeah, nice mark with that. Not going too close to the TC. Love it.
Yep.
Right hand side, exactly what you've just said, man. What happens if a couple of archers are sitting next to the mining camp? Well, this happens.
Yeah, it's that tower would be perfect to just cover the area. Problem is that you want to secure the resources.
Yeah.
And if you either secures the gold with the tower, it's good. If he secures a stone, it's good. But covering both, it isn't gonna work in this scenario, I believe.
Yeah, you need more and more towers then to actually achieve this, but that's easier said than done. The archers are now coming from the right hand side. A lot of pressure from Yo now. Med arms, archers. It's happening.
Yeah, and this is the problem, what I said. TaToH can run away because he has the speed advantage. But sometimes he has to take fights because he needs to protect what he owes. And this is exactly the case as we see the archers going down to a well-placed demo. That's what I was waiting for. Potentially game-changing demo ship over there by TaToH.
Where? I didn't even catch it. Where it happened?
Right next to TaToH's starting base.
Oh well, noobcaster. What did it take down? Was it a couple of archers, right?
I mean, it was 3 archers and 2 other very severely damaged. So right now, Yo lost a lot of military. And it looks like, look at these tanky men-at-arms from TaToH. He has the +1 armor, and these guys are super fast.
And they're just ready. They're just ready to take down a couple of units.
You can see the determination in their face.
Yeah, we can even zoom in and prove it. But there we go. Yeah. Oh, nice, man. He just found about it. Yo's stone operation over here. But yeah, stone walls keep him safe, at least for now. And we now have more and more archers inside of the base of TaToH here to the south. Not good at all. Defensive measures very much needed. Towers question mark. Skirmishes question mark. But it will be towers for sure. But what TaToH needs now is a bit more time, defensively speaking. It will be really awkward. The wood is making me nauseous, man, to the south.
Oh boy. Oh boy, on the right side, Mr. Yo's stone. Okay, the archers come in the perfect moment to help. I was scared for a second that that mining camp might go down, and that could cause disasters.
Med-arms are doing a great job actually taking down the archers.
Yeah, these are the strengths of the Celtic med-arms. They can catch up with archers, they got the extra armor, and Misteo does have fletching, So eventually
God,
he's gonna be able to take that fight.
Oh, TaToH's gonna lose more and more villages. I understood why he sent those villages right inside. He wanted to drop a tower there to deny the stone, but now he's actually paying the bill because he lost the fight. He's losing
Yeah,
the
he has nowhere to run. He has nowhere to run. These archers will just outnumber him. Military count is 16 to 6. I don't think that Mr. Yo is gonna let this out of his hands again.
Yeah.
And TaToH is going in with more man-arms. Look at the amount of army he has on the left side. He could get revenge. He could get revenge on these villagers. They will just hop into the gas. It's very close. The problem is that Celtic man-arms are strong, but the archers in the long run will be just a better trade. They can snipe down villagers behind quick walls. And I don't like that
crazy.
tower from TaToH. I absolutely dislike
crazy.
that.
Oh my god, man.
What's the point of it?
It's so painful. Yeah, what's the point of that? I mean, it's the protection of the stone. You
Yeah,
would
but
say
I
that's
can
the left
still-
side. Yeah, it's
Also, the
unfortunate.
gold is just being taken away from him. He's having archers inside his base. I have a feeling that we are getting close to a final GG here.
It might very well be. If I mean, the situation will not continue after Feudal Age. It will just decide before that one. Okay. Skirms are now being made. That is one idea, but being housed doesn't help. Besides that, though, a lot of control by Yo. A lot of control. Villager count still in... No, it's not in favor for TaToH. It's just Yo having wheelbarrow here. So that's not good neither. And more towers. And exactly, that position, that's the position where you need to drop a tower from Yo on the stone. And I assume that TaToH is aware of this. Yeah, for sure. But what is he going to do against it? Because there's a huge army waiting for the villagers to engage. So that's not going to work. It's really tight for TaToH. The whole situation looks messed up, to say the least. The wood lines is just really inefficient. Awful.
Yeah, still TaToH has a quite number of those man-armors, but like I said, he cannot do any damage to the eco of Mr. Yo, and Mr. Yo is just fine. He has gold, he has stone and food. Yo is getting close to clicking up to Castle Age.
Yeah, and that might be a Castle HGG, by the way.
Yeah, that might be. Once we get to crossbows will just eat up everything that TaToH is having. So if we get to crossbows and TaToH is not up to castle, it's basically over. And we are getting close to that very soon. 500 food for Yo. I think he's gonna click up in approximately a minute. And when that happens, crossbows with Botkin arrow will just start sniping down villagers from TaToH's TC. And Yo is stockpiling a lot of stone as well. Don't be surprised on a castle either.
Nice, man. Demolition rafts making sure that something is going to happen. 3 archers going down, but that's it. More demolition rafts needed, but it is too late. It is too late. The demolition raft
Yeah,
will
it's
not be there in
just
time.
so huge army for Yo. So
that's
many
crazy.
archers, and they just trade way better than the man-at-arms could do anything.
It's 13 archers on the islands of TaToH. He's completely surrounded. This might be the GG situation here. If not, then the Castle Age will be like it. It's really unfortunate. I love the instinct of TaToH that he's just not giving up, right? He's very famous for surviving situations. He has this keeping alive type of instinct in this game, but sometimes, you know, realism is gonna kick in very hard, and it's not gonna be possible.
I'm not a major fan of Yo engaging those skirms with his archers, though. Again,
Not efficient, man.
like he just lost like 6 archers on the right side engaging skirms. He does the exact same thing again. I don't think that he has this much lead. He has the lead, but not by this much. He is really determined to take that archer range down. He wants to do it, but I feel like he's wasting his archers right now. If he just waits until he gets up to castle, which he's already going towards, like, look at that, he's losing all his archers. That's not
crazy.
the way to play it. He needs to be a bit more patient now.
Okay, but what happens after Castle Age? That's the main question now. Do you think TaToH's gonna continue? Because it's gonna be nice as a spoiler here. We see double stables, we see a lot of farms.
It's gonna be switched to knights.
Yeah.
That's a tiny bit unexpected. I actually expected him to go for the crossbows if... Still, I
mean, he
don't like
lost the
that fact
archers,
that he
right?
just suicided all his crossbows.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason.
Especially
so-
considering that it would have been way more efficient to kill villagers with crossbows on all these resource piles.
Yeah, it will be tough because what's now needed is, if you want to survive the next few minutes, you need spearmen. A lot of 6 spearmen or so, but this will damage your economy. your uptime. But he's making them. He's not. He knows he needs to make the spearman, man. It's important because he needs to tell Yo that it's not a good idea to just you know, go in there with your knights, at least yet. Marvino, man, thanks for the host, man. Hope your tournament is going well.
No!
It is. I'm sure it is.
TaToH just deleted the full HP tower.
Oh, I just saw it. Okay, that's awful, man.
Why?
Yeah, that's legit awful. Yeah, I mean the way how this continues. I mean,
Why?
there's even forward casting, man. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. TaToH is about to find out what's going to happen for the people not knowing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful castle. There's no chance that TaToH can hold against that one.
This is potentially the last game of the MSC tournament, Mangrove Shallow Cup here. It's just problematic. TaToH is about to lose it, whereas Yo is having the time of his life. TaToH is going for Castle Age. The tower is far from ideal. It was terrible, as you said, and now the castle's being dropped as well. Let's just hope for TaToH that his units are somewhat able to defend their villages against those knights, at least for a while, but it is chaotic to say the least. A lot of villages are going down. We're talking about 54 villages versus 45 and decreasing numbers here. Knights are still dealing a lot of damage, but it might be that TaToH still won't give up. It's last game, potentially,
Yeah,
if he loses this one.
If he gives up, it's over, so... he could still try to fight this, but I don't see him coming back to it.
Yeah,
I don't know what he could require. Problem is that he has very little map control. He doesn't have stone to drop additional town centers right now. As Misteo is going scale armor. Samurais.
Interesting. I mean,
we see samurais.
I think what's going to happen is that TaToH maybe attempts to go for pikemen, and then I don't know whatever he wants to add to it. It will be problematic, but samurai, man, that's tough.
Yeah, against samurai, it's gonna be insanely hard. Like, Yo's army is so much versatile. He has samurai to deal with the infantry. He has knights to raid. He has knights to clean up the skirms that could be arriving. He has a decent amount of archers as well. He has a good map control. See, it looks like TaToH is trying with a few demo revs, but it's not helping that much. Slowly but surely, TaToH is gonna get pushed back, and once he loses control over the hump, it's over.
That's the real issue. Once he loses control, I mean, of course, he needs to go for the demolition ships because he needs to go for this kind of nice trade, right?
He needs a big splash, some kind of game changer, and it is gonna be scorpions and spikes coming up from TaToH as a one last desperate attempt to come back to this. What he could hope for is the fact that Yo might struggle finishing off a game again, which happened previously.
Exactly. We can count on this, that something like this might happen. So that's one thing. But I like the additional samurai here. It's just a nice unit. It will be powerful. Making sure that TaToH's options are somewhat limited over here. And Yo's just not giving up, right? So it's I just struggle to find any solution for TaToH that is gonna be a reliever at this point.
And it's a mangonel.
Yeah, mangonel, but you know, then we just need a couple of knights once again, and all of a sudden the mangonels are gone. This is why you have the pikes close by. Pikes and siege, beautiful combination. But against the Japanese, man, be careful.
Yeah, against the Japanese, it's gonna be insanely hard. Knights are moving in from Mr. Yo's base. He's gonna go to try and snipe that mangonel. Right now, TaToH still has control over most of the resources. That's important, but he's 15 villagers behind. He is only 2 town centers meanwhile. Yo is gonna be free. And the military count is definitely not something that looks very fancy for him. Oh no, he's leaving the mangonels alone. Okay.
Oh my god, man. I mean, the knights are in now. As long as we have pikemen, a couple of defensive pikemen, that is going to be helpful, to say the least. But just one pikeman, not going to make everything happen by itself. And we see no aggressive stance from TaToH at all. There's no chance of counter raid. And you said it, the numbers are not good for TaToH at all. We are talking about 75 villagers versus 58. And the economy, all of this, is just troublesome. And on the right-hand side, TaToH is actually mainly concerned with a couple of archers that he fails to get due to the fact that, well, they're just so low in numbers, they can just be microed that easily. And all of a sudden, it's just a chore that you don't want to deal with. And now that you've dealt with it, samurais are going in, so yeah, it's just ugly, man.
Yeah, it's super, super brutal. And problem is that mangonels will definitely struggle against these Japanese samurai.
Yeah, man, it's tough, man.
This might be endgame over here.
Oh my god, man. Samurais are in, the knights are still doing that thing.
Yeah, and the problem is that Yo is on the offensive, TaToH is on the defensive, and when you have the weak or eco and you're on the defensive, it's a major problem.
Major issue, and Yo's just not giving in here. The score is also quite demotivating, man. There's 2 great difference at this stage of the game. It's quite
I think
hard
TaToH knows. TaToH has to know this. So
yeah.
he knows that he's super, super behind. It's all about the last game being here. And I think, considering that we are ending this tournament, I think it's a big thing. Give a shout out to Yo, who is winning 5 against 2 against TaToH. Who would have thought that?
Who would have thought this, man? Who would have thought? I mean, of course, people would then think, oh, do you think that Yo is bad? No, man, it's just the issue. It's
if you take a look at what TaToH is doing, TaToH is one of the best players in the world. And if you're talking about, like, let's say Nili's Apartment Cup, TaToH was a finalist.
Yeah.
So if you are just talking about their previous achievements in the recent times in 1v1 tournaments, everyone would clearly say that this is an advantage or for TaToH. So I'm not even sure when the last time was when Mr. Yo has actually won a 1v1 tournament.
I saw a lot of performances of him in 1v1s, especially in ECL. It was quite brutal. It was up against Viper and whatnot. It was really painful all of a sudden, especially in the early stage of ECL. But I totally agree with you. But it's still insane, man. I mean, I remember last year, it was actually Mr. Yo sitting on number 1 1v1 rating for a long time. I believe it was in May 2018 or so. But yeah, what is the issue with 1v1 tournaments? You're absolutely correct. We've not seen him shine, and we've seen him now against TaToH, who's actually haven't had a single lost matchup in this whole tournament, right? We had the Swiss stage. He went out of there with 3-0. He went every subsequent game like that, and he just wrecked everyone on the way to the finals. Now he's meeting up with Yo, and for the second time, of course. Yo and TaToH had their matchup already in this tournament. And TaToH won 3-0, if I recall correctly. And all of a sudden, it's a 5-2 situation. It's really crazy, man.
Yeah, absolutely.